Yeah, we are live. Sup, Terry? What's up, Diamond Tree? How's everybody doing? Let's move the camera back a little bit because I'm all up in everybody's face, and I know that's crazy, man. So give everybody a chance to filter in here. Thanks for everybody for waiting. I know I'm a couple minutes late, but that's the life of a dad who's running his business out of his home. Let's see, Chantal is here. Says hello. Hello, Chantal. Welcome. So the only thing I have to do, because I'm not broadcasting on Facebook tonight, we're only on YouTube. It's an intimate, delicious discussion for the YouTubers tonight. And I just need to get the live stream to pull up, which for whatever reason is not pulling up. Raven says, good morning. Hey, Raven. And Terry says, Brian's trying to be a Pokemon trainer. Yeah, okay. That's probably not far from the truth. Chantal says, glad to be here. And he says, turning his cap backwards. Oh, so the only reason I'm wearing my cap backwards, it's just, this should be a no-brainer. Caddy George says, sup, bro? You helped me a lot. That's what I like to hear. So if you want to understand why I'm wearing my hat backwards, hey, Taj Marie, how you doing? It's because forward it looks like this. Look, this hat has been washed so many times, it looks like something your grandfather would wear. And that's not okay. It's not okay to wear your grandfather's hat. I mean, let me back that up. It's okay to wear your grandfather's hat, but you don't look cool in your grandfather's hat. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is there's nothing wrong with your grandfather's hat, okay? But you don't look cool in your grandfather. Look at this. You know what's funny is this is the original hat I started wearing on my first channel back when it was properly fitted and actually fit my face. But I started using it actually as my workout hat. So basically the bill bends backwards and it's all jacked. Because, you know, when you wear a workout hat, you sweat it out a lot and you have to wash it a lot. And when you wash these types of hats a lot, they start to lose their form. So, but anyway, I want to make it clear that I'm not against, because you know we live in a world today. We're going to talk about this a little bit tonight in the topic, but we live in a world today where you got to respect everybody's. People get offended easy. So for those of you that are wearing your grandfather's hats, I don't want you to feel like I'm not being respectful to grandfather hat wearers. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, you are as fired up about the topic we're going to discuss as I am. This is something that's near and dear to my heart because so many of you that reach out to me talking about how you don't know if you're on the right path, you feel lost, you don't know if your dreams are delusional or plausible or possible. You like the rest of us have parents that pushed us in different directions. Sometimes not directions that we wanted to go in, even though they had our best interests at heart. Most of the time, there's a place near and dear to my heart because I will tell you that I knew my dreams at a very young age and I waited way too long to start pursuing them. Let me put too long in perspective because, I mean, the fact of the matter is I probably have at least another 60 years on this planet. So it's not like I'm running out of time. But the point is, had I started doing, like, I talked to a friend of mine today, a young girl friend of mine, and, she was talking about my dream. She had heard my dream about playing in the NFL, so she was asking me some questions. And one of the questions that came up, which was really interesting, is like, would you have dropped, knowing what you know today, would you have dropped out of school? And it was a hard question for me to answer because I would have dropped out of school, but knowing what I know today, I don't think I would have dropped out of ROTC because, and that's Reserve Officer Training Corps. That's a training program that young college college students go through to become become military officers. And I don't think I would trade that experience because that's some of, to date, what I learned in college and in the military is still the best education, the best training, the best everything that I've ever had. And the military may take a lot of flack, the government especially may take a lot of flack, but the military is a very special part of that. And it has, like, even, a lot of these business books you guys see me talk about a lot. Peter Drucker in The Essential Drucker talks about some of the best companies in the world actually run like military organizations. People have stereotypes in their head of what a military organization is really like. And I'll be honest with you, I had more freedom in the military than I did in some other parts of my career. Obviously not as much as I have running my own business, but I had a lot more autonomy and freedom in that environment than you might think. But the point there is knowing what you're supposed to be doing in your life. And are you on the right path? And if you're not on the right path, how do you figure it out soon enough so that you can get on the right path? And that's tough. I mean, frankly, that's why I started a lot of the personality type content that I make, was to help you start to self-actualize, so that the more self-aware you can become, the better decisions you can make on the road to achieving your dreams and really understanding your dreams. Because you may not be like me and at 17 you had it figured out. Like, I had the dream figured out, I just took too long to start pursuing it for a host of different reasons. But really, when you boil it down, for all of you who are watching tonight, and I want you to listen to me very carefully what I'm about to say. For all of you who are watching this video tonight, or watching it after the fact, or watching it 100 years from now, if there's still an internet and the zombies don't take over everything. Of course, if there is a zombie apocalypse, rest assured, I guarantee you. I was talking to a friend of mine today, talking about how war is actually easier than real life in a lot of ways, and how, because of the way I'm wired, if there was a zombie apocalypse, I would easily be the first billionaire. Because so much of what I'm really good at and what I'm trained to do doesn't exactly work in the normal world. Like, it works, but you have to adapt it, right? But in a war environment, zombies, dude, I'd be the first billionaire, and I'd bring the internet back, is the point. So don't worry about it. But there's two types of people here tonight, and it really, really goes like this. There are those of you who are on the right path and you are successful, right? And you're moving out toward that dream. Then there are those of you who are attempting to go at this alone. Okay, so two types of people. There are those of you who are attempting to take this journey of life, this journey of your career, relationships, whatever pillar that you've come to this channel to try to help you fix, or maybe all of them, or to make better. I'm not really a fix-it person, but help you in some way, shape, or form improve your life. You're one of two people. You're either a lone wolf trying to do everything by yourself, or you are successful and moving towards more and more success. So what do I mean by that? Too many of you, and too many of the people that I see in the world, and the reason why I know this is not because I'm being judgmental and I know everything. It's because most of the things that you all see me call out or criticize or critique are problems that I've had. It's not me sitting in judgment, oh, I have this all figured out and now I must tell you. I've seen people talk about that in the comments. He thinks he's the father's like, no, I've had all these problems that I'm talking about, so I can speak from intimate experience of this problem. You lone wolves who are trying to do everything yourself, you're gonna wake up in 10 years and realize you barely kicked the ball down the street, or worse, you didn't kick it at all. Like, you're just stuck, right? And so when I hear some of you young people talk about, oh, I'm stuck, you're not stuck, right? You just need to have some of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about a couple of different steps you can take to make sure that you're on the right path, right? So there's two types of people watching this tonight. There's people who are trying to do this all by themselves, right? And then there's those of you who have figured out already you're not going to succeed by yourself, and you're doing at least something small. Hopefully you'll get even more and more practiced at this. You are working to bring other people into your life who can help you get down the road. Okay, and that's one of the key things. And by the end of this, at the end of tonight's video, I want to make sure that none of you are in the lone wolf category. And none of you are trying to figure out everything on your own. None of you are, if you do have it figured out, none of you are trying to do everything alone, right? And really, when it comes to how do you know if you're chasing the right dreams? And I don't like to use chasing, because how do you know if you are moving toward, how do you know if you have the right dreams, and how do you know if you're actually moving toward it, moving away from it, or just walking lost in the woods? Well, there's a couple of different things that I want to share with you tonight. I've got about 4 steps. You know me, I may go over, because I'm going to talk about 4 major things tonight. But let's be clear, all right? Anytime you see, and by the way, people who do this will back me up on this. Anytime you see, I'm going to give you the 3 steps that you need to take today to be successful. Please understand that nobody in their right mind that's saying that, myself included, because that's something that I use a lot of times. Please understand that there's not just 3 steps, okay? There's not 3 things you're going to do right now today at a micro level, at a specific level, that's just going to make your life amazing. There's probably 1,000 different things you're going to do. But there are 4 basic principles that you can understand that have thousands of things that you need to do in them. That if you get those right, then you'll start to have more success. You'll start to, be able to figure out, what are your dreams if you don't understand them and know them already. This is something that in my coaching programs, we spend a lot of time talking about. In fact, some people, because I have multiple different coaching programs, some of you are familiar with them, some of you aren't, but a lot of people who get into my social media course, where I'm teaching people social media skills, whether they're trying to just grow their personal brand on, like I work with a lot of gamers and entertainers, or they're trying to, like we have people in my social media program who run businesses and they're trying to figure out, okay, I need to master social media so that I can sell more things and take care of the people in my business. And a lot of people will come through my social media program and they're surprised that some of the stuff we do very early in the program is personal development. And they're like, wow, I thought this was just going to be a social media course, but I'm also getting all of this personal development advice. And it's because, going back to my comments about military training, one of the things the military does very well is assess its professionals and understand what they are naturally skilled and gifted at. And it puts us in positions to succeed versus, most businesses will hire a person and try to shove them into a role. And then they'll throw money at you not being good at it, trying to train you and cajole you and motivate you, not realizing that it's not what you were wired to do. It's not in you to be good at this. And so many business owners that I've worked with across the board, they don't get this. Managers, it doesn't matter. So many people don't understand that. Do you understand why? So if you're a football fan, you'll get this reference. Do you understand why the Patriots win so much? And people always joke because they deflate footballs and they cheat. Wrong, right? Understand, in the professional football, every team finds a way to cheat. In fact, even at the high school level, we're taught to cheat, okay? The teams that get talked about with cheating are the ones, nobody talks about the crappy teams cheating because they do it too, by the way. No one talks about them because they suck, right? They talk about the team that's winning, though, but the people who aren't fans of the winning team always have some shade to throw on the people who are winning. Well, they cheated. Give me a break. Like, deflating footballs was really the difference between them winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. That's preposterous, and it is. The reason why they continue to win is because they have a visionary at the helm who's figured out, I have a system, I have a general strategy for how I want to play the game, but I adapt the tactics to fit the personnel. Most companies do that backwards. They come up with a vision, and then they create these round pegs, and then they try to force all these square pegs into, they create all these round holes, and they try to force all these square pegs into them. And then it doesn't work, and then you waste all this money. Well, this person just needs to go to training, and then they'll get better. No, they won't. The person sucks at math. They are not your finance person. I know that's what you hired them for, but be smart. They probably are good at something else that you can repurpose them to do in your company. And so the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of us could find ourselves in that situation where we're not winning because we're out of place. And that's why this conversation is near and dear to my heart, because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen it when I had a military career where they spent 5 years evaluating me before they actually put me into a specific job. And then I spent time at that job, got good at it, moved on to the next and on to the next. But I was in an environment that my skills were suited to do really well in. So from the beginning, the organization had set me up for success. I've been in places where that doesn't play out, where we're just going to try to, we know this guy is he's a great professional, so clearly we'll just put him in this other role, he'll be great at it. Not necessarily. Now, I'm not going to completely suck at much of anything, but there are certain things that I will be violently mediocre at. One thing I'll always be mediocre at is if you give me a task and I don't believe in the mission. Like if you give me something to do, and worse, I believe we shouldn't be doing it, you're going to have problems with me. It's the way it is. Like, don't. The people always look for ways to incentivize employees, and when I meet with my team, I always tell them I need to know about you. What is it that gets you going? And I tell them, like, what gets me going is every day I get up believing in what I'm getting ready to go do. If I don't have that, I'm going to be. Now, my mediocre sometimes is pretty good compared to other people's because I'm willing to work at things to get good just out of pride, but I'm still mediocre when it comes to that. So what we have to do for you is help you understand, are you going in the right direction so you can avoid a similar fate? Like the military did with me, how do we evaluate your life and where you are today? And it doesn't matter how old you are. I got people that watch me that are 10. I have people that watch me that are in their 60s. None of that matters. Now, for the 10-year-old, you're going to need some more life experience before you start to figure everything out. But there's certain things about you we can start to determine today, like your values and the things that motivate you. You've got a taste of what that is, right? And so sometimes I think my dreams were more clear when I was younger than as I got older, because they didn't get tainted with responsibilities and disappointments and friends dying and fathers dying and kids having to have surgeries, right? You don't have enough punches in the face in life yet to allow yourself to become cynical. If you're not careful, that could happen to anybody. It certainly happened to me, and I had to course correct. But what I don't want you to do, regardless of which person you are, if you're the lone wolf that's trying to do everything yourself, and unbelievably the percentage of people, of you that watch me and come to me for help, and I ask, well, who's coaching you? Well, nobody. So let me get this right. You want to start a business doing a thing that you've never done before, and your plan is just to figure it out yourself. On what planet does that work? On what planet do you think that works? When I ask, well, who's coaching you? Oh, well, I watch your videos every once in a while. That's not coaching. I'm not mentoring you with one video every month. Now, you may learn some good principles and things that you can apply to your life, absolutely. But if you think watching one or two of my videos every month is going to get you where you need to be, it's crazy. It's like in the military. When you train physically, you get tested on that. And if you're not training out, because training physically is part of your job, but what you do in your job is only a limited amount of time. And it's usually group training, so it's not focused on your specific needs. If you want to max that test, you have to train outside of work. And the people who train outside of work, strangely enough, they max the test. The people like me who are lazy and don't, we don't fail it, but we certainly don't score above the max, right? So if you want to be amazing, you're going to have to spend time. And like Tony Robbins calls it immersion coaching, where he was fussing at a guy at one of his conferences. He said, Tony, I came to your conference, man. I came to the 3-day conference, and my life was going great for 6 months. And I'm going to quote Tony here, because what he said to him was hilarious. So if foul language offends you, just brace yourself. So he's like, Tony, I came to the thing, and my life was good, and it was great. But 6 months later, it wore off. And he goes, asshole, what did you think was going to? It was 3 days. Like, I'm surprised you lasted 6 months. He's like, what I'm teaching you is a lifelong process. It's like, when people come in my one-on-one coaching program, what they're starting to learn is they went through hours of training with me, and it was intense, and they had to do work, and they had to read, and all this. Like, it was like military training, right? Then today they just got hit with, okay, we're a month after the coaching, and they thought they could just ride off into the sunset. And I'm like, how are you dealing with limiting beliefs and mindsets, and what fears have you conquered since we talked, or at least that you're working toward? And they're like, okay, right? And so the thing you have to remember, and what I'm trying to get across to them, is you're not just going to come to a 4-week course with me and then you're going to be amazing without continuing what you learn in that course. Now, the course is amazing, but it's just a tool, but it's one you have to use consistently, right? And so this is what I'll tell you what I tell my kids when it comes to this. It's, Dad, I'm trying to get good at this. I'm trying to get good at drawing. Okay, how much time did you spend drawing today? Well, I drew 2 Sonic the Hedgehog pictures. Okay, how much time did you spend playing Cuphead? About 6 hours. You getting pretty good at Cuphead? Yeah. How's your drawings? They suck. You're welcome. They're supposed to suck. You drew 2 pictures that took you 20 minutes. You spent 6 hours playing a video game. What did you think was going to happen? And too often, people aren't getting coached. They're coming to people who have more knowledge than them and hoping that we're going to give you the. This is one of the funny things in the YouTube space that I don't get it so much anymore because I've pulled away from coaching YouTubers on YouTube every day like I used to. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody that's like, hey, man, I've been working hard for 6 months and I'm just not seeing the numbers. I'm like, 6 months? Bro, the skills that I've built to be able to build these channels that grow by thousands every month took me 14 years to get there, right? Like, what do you think you're going to accomplish in 6 months? And the problem is they see the exception to the rule. Well, this guy's channel, he blew his channel up to 1 million in 6 months. Yeah, but he's been doing it for 14 years too. And he built his following on MySpace first. And some of you are too young to even remember MySpace, which is terrifying. And then learned on other platforms and brought what he brought here, or she brought what she brought here. So I've got to get you to a point where if you're that lone wolf, and too many of you are, by the way, too many of you are the lone wolf who think, and it's really rampant with YouTubers because you think if you let other people work with you and benefit from your work, then you're not going to benefit. And that's completely wrong. Like one of the things I've said this about, let me use my social media coaching course as an example. I have been telling people since they joined the program that we have an affiliate program. And if you get anyone else to sign up, I will split what they pay me with you. Everyone is eligible to do that. Literally every soul. You know how many people have taken me up on that? One. And it's a guy that works for me. One. You know why it doesn't happen? 2 reasons. One, they don't believe in themselves enough to tell someone else about this great thing that they have. Or 2, and really the more important part with 2 is I don't want other people to get this great information because then I'm gonna have to compete with them, right? But what you don't realize is that when you help people, you make allies, right? I partner with people so if you look at what I do in business for clients in the real world, not just what I do online, I partner with people who do what I do. I send them business, especially because I can't specialize in everything. So for example, one of the services I don't offer to clients is Pinterest. I don't. Now, could I offer Pinterest services and be really, really good at it? Sure. But I don't because I'm focused on other things. If I have another dude who's an amazing Pinterest guy, I'm going to send him business. You know why? Because him winning is going to lead to me winning. And we're building a friendship and an alliance. And that's what too many people miss is they're trying to lone wolf it because they're afraid if I let anybody in to my circle, they're going to get the shine and I'm not. Or they're going to get the money and I'm not. Or they're going to get money and I'm going to get less. And I know that feeling because I've felt it before. It's when I'm learning, I should probably keep this to myself. Selfishly, instead of, realizing, wait, if I share this with everybody, if I help everybody win, what do you think they're going to do for me? If I spend my time helping everybody win, do you think they're going to let me fall? Right? And I've seen that play out many times. So if you're a lone wolf, and here, by the way, Myers-Briggs fans, let me just bust your bubble because one of the first things someone's going to say out of the mouth, well, I'm an introvert. BS. Being an introvert has nothing to do with your ability to interface with another human soul. Too many of us hide behind, well, I'm an introvert. I get it. You get more energy from isolation. It doesn't mean you can't interface with other people. I'm almost a max extrovert, and I still get exhausted around certain people. All right, so don't pull the, well, I'm an introvert card. Figure that out, right? And now, granted, there are some exceptions to the rule. I'm not trying to be hard on you. There's people that have some social anxiety and some of those challenges, but you can get, by the way, if you're having social anxiety, your priority probably shouldn't be building a YouTube empire. It should be getting help, right? It should be, because you can't help, like so many of you that I work with will come to me and say, I want to make people happy. Are you happy? How are you going to make other people happy if you're miserable? Right now, you can put on the facade of being happy and you can play the role of a happy person in your videos, but how are you going to bring something to people that you don't have and you don't know how to get? We're going to talk about that tonight too. So there's two people watching this call. You're either a lone wolf or you're someone who is coachable, teachable, and trainable. And 10 times out of 10, the second person is going to win. So in the comment section right now, and I want you to be, your life depends on it, honest. Are you a lone wolf, or are you someone who's open to getting other people who are ahead of you to help you? And now I am number two, but I have been the lone wolf. So there's no shame if you're the lone wolf, but we've got to identify it tonight because we have to kill it. Otherwise, none of this stuff that I'm sharing with you and these free programs that I have and these coaching programs down the lane, it's not going to help you if you don't open up to letting somebody help you. All right. So I see I'm coachable. It says I'm both. Good. Okay. That's honest. I think we can fluctuate in and out of. And the funny thing is, you're not writing this for me because most of you here that I know what you're going to say. I'm around you, and I've been around you long enough to know pretty much what everybody's going to answer if I spend a lot of time with you. Okay. Darius K says, I'm open to help, but I don't see it anywhere. It's all around you. The problem is, Jeffrey Gittimer puts it this way. This is going to be my Twitter and Facebook quote. I'm starting to do quotes of the day. Did anybody see my Twitter and Facebook quote of the day today? Because it was hilarious. And I was being serious, but it was also very funny. If you didn't see it, you should check it out. I don't want to spoil it for you. But my quote for tomorrow is, if you don't have the balls to speak, you don't have the balls to learn. Ladies, I get the reference doesn't apply to you, but just pretend for a minute we're talking about gumption and courage. Balls is a figurative term. If you don't have the balls to speak, you don't have the balls to learn. And it was Jeffrey Gittimer, who, by the way, Jeffrey Gittimer is like the king of sales. Like he wrote the book, basically the secret of sales, the little red book of sales. And I was talking about him and how much I was learning from the book. And I posted on Instagram one of the days where I took an L, like the business. I think we made $0 that day. And it was like, woo, don't have too many of those, right? And it's timing and it's whatever. But what I posted on Instagram was, I'm not upset about this because this $0 we made today is evidence of the fact that I could be helping more people. Now, there's been days where we've made zero. There's been days where we've made thousands in a day. But it comes down to any day where I've got zero is a day that I need to give more value into the world. Jeffrey Gittimer saw that tweet and he wrote me on Christmas Day. Like he said, Bryant, yo, you figured it out, man. You're the man. I wish you continued success in 2018. You have the exact right mindset to blow up. And so when Jeffrey Gittimer hits you up, it's like, what? Because I didn't send that to him, like to bother him. I quoted him, and he saw it. He wrote back, he was like, dude, you're on it. And so what he said on a call that I listened to, I was listening to this, I've listened to it a couple times now. He says, if you don't have the balls to speak, you don't have the balls to learn. And he was telling the story of how he got on a plane with the guy that plays Barney Miller, which many of you are probably way too young to remember. So just look up Barney Miller. And he reached out. He's like, hey, but instead of going to Barney Miller, like, hey, tell me about your TV show. He made it about Barney. He's like, hey, Barney. Well, the guy's real name, not Barney. He's like, you want to get a cab? We're in New York. Let's get a cab together. Let's split it. And he said they just talked, and the guy that played Barney paid for the cab. And that was an experience he had because he was willing to open up and speak to somebody. So many of you that are saying nobody's helping me, who are you asking? Like, do you really think Bill Gates is just going to be like, who should I help today? Who should I help start a multi-billion-dollar software company? Let me go through my Twitter feed. This guy. Of course not. Right? And part of the problem, too, is especially Americans. I don't notice this anywhere near as bad with Europeans. But with Americans, we've got this everything should be free mentality. And it's ludicrous. Because that's not the way the world works. Like, even you giving your time is not. Like, people say, well, YouTube's free. No, it's not. Because if you spend 8 hours watching YouTube, that's 8 hours you could have been doing something else. It's not free. Now, you didn't pay money for it, but do you understand what I am capable of doing in 8 hours of time for clients, for building businesses, for building websites, for testing out new product? Like, I have a new product that I'm going to be testing for YouTubers, for coaching YouTubers. I don't know when I'm going to launch it yet, but it's going to be an experiment, and it's going to be a program designed to help YouTubers make money off of YouTube. Right, and it's going to teach people some of the ways that, even with a channel that I made video, at one point I was making a video a month and was still making more money than channels probably 10 times as big as mine, because I have people that taught me how to do that, right? And so what I'm able to do in 8 hours of other people playing video games and watching YouTube is build an empire, right? And I also have a family, so I can't be working on my business 24/7. A lot of times I have to stop what I'm doing for my kids. And I had a son that just went through a major surgery. I have a dad that just passed away. I just found out tonight another friend of our family passed away. Like, I got other stuff going on. So even business wise, I can't be at it all the time. But in that same token, I can't the little bit of time that I do have to work on stuff, I can't be on YouTube all the time. So let's see, what are people saying? So a lot of you didn't answer the question when I said, "Are you a lone wolf or trainable?" You guys are dodging the question. That's cool. If you're scared, say you're scared. But the point here is two types of people, and I got to get you to be person number two. Right? I've got to get you to be person number two. I can't have you living in this space as a lone wolf. You will not make it. And I've been preaching to YouTubers for the better part of 2.5 years. I got on this it was a different phone, but I got on the phone on my marketing YouTube channel, and I told everybody, you better figure out how to start working and collaborating with other people. Because if you think there's gonna be another PewDiePie, you are dead wrong. It's over, right? And my point was, and I actually used another real world example of how businesses consolidate over time. For example, on the stock market, do you know the name of the only company that still exists in its original form that was on the beginning of the stock market? Does anybody know the answer to that? Put the answer in the comments if you know it. Well, the reason for that is because this company was able to survive, over 100 years. But a lot of the other companies also merged and became other things because they realized our forces together are way more powerful than our forces apart. And part of the problem with YouTubers that I find is there's a correlation, at least with a lot of the people that I've worked with, between being slightly asocial and being a YouTuber, because it's work that allows you not to have to deal with other people. And if you think you're going to be wildly successful on this planet without other people, I mean, name a YouTuber who's doing it all on their own that's making millions of dollars. I haven't seen one. Now, on camera, it may look like they're doing it alone. Believe me, they're not. I mean, you look at my success on my YouTube marketing channel, what was originally my gaming channel became my marketing channel. 98% of that success came from a collaboration with one dude. Like, I wasn't getting views because my stuff was reaching people. I got views because I did something very valuable for somebody else. Now, that work I did for him had way more impact on his channel than it did on mine, but it still had an impact on mine. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's led to sales, that's led to so many other different things. In fact, my original mentor that got me into the media industry, I went to do an interview with him for an anniversary for his company. Some of you may have followed it on Snapchat and Facebook. But I was telling him, I said, he was like, "Yeah, B, we haven't talked in so long, man. I was watching YouTube trying to get my YouTube game up, and I found this dude. I can't remember his name. I think his name was Timmy or Tom. And then you were on his channel and talking about copyrights." I said, "Was it Tim?" He's like, "Yeah, Tim Schmoyer." I was like, "Yeah." So people who know me are finding me through this other channels, right? So we got to get you out of lone wolf, man. Lone wolf. There's no lone wolves in battle. There's no lone wolves out there. I mean, you look at the richest people in America for over 100 years, they had people helping them. Bill Gates had people helping him. Steve Jobs had people helping him. Mark Zuckerberg had people helping him. So we got to get you out of that mentality. Now, let's get into this idea of how do we know if we're chasing the right dreams? How do we know if we're going down the right road? And if we do know the right road, what are the steps we need to take to make sure we actually accomplish these things that we want to do? And so, first and foremost, and this can be step one if you're taking notes. And as a matter of fact, before I jump into the steps, let's take some comments here. Uh, let's take some comments because you guys have been chatting it up. I love it. I love it when you guys are this talkative, guys and ladies. I use guys generically. Hopefully, everybody's cool with that. Ursula says, I'm a trainable wolf. Don't be a wolf at all. Just be trainable. Let's see. A3 person says, I feel like I'm a lone wolf, but I do help people if they need help, but just feel unworthy to seek help from someone who's ahead of me. Let me jump into that for a second. You know what the root of that problem is? Because what A3 person said sounds very humble, but it's actually pride. It's actually pride. I don't feel worthy to seek help from someone who's ahead of me. You know why you don't feel worthy? Because you you're afraid to let your pride get hurt. You're afraid that they're going to reject you. And that fear of rejection is rooted in pride. Right? So you're too proud to risk rejection. And so you never get rejected, but you never get help. Right? And I, again, not judging. I lived, you know what taught me that lesson in life? I hope this isn't the way you learn it. Almost getting killed in a car crash. Yes. Because that car crash forced me to ask people for help. I was the guy, I loved helping you know why you like helping people so much? Because it gives you leverage. Because it makes you be the one in control and the one in charge. You don't like being vulnerable because asking for help requires you to humble yourself and ask for it. It's not that you don't feel worthy, it's that it's hard to ask when you feel unworthy. But that feeling of unworthiness is actually rooted in pride. It's actually rooted in pride. So you want to kill that. Okay, you want to have real humility and start asking for help. Because why? So even if you are unworthy of someone's help, what is asking them going to do to you? Worst they can do is say no, and somebody will eventually say yes. Karina Cromarty says, currently I'm a lone wolf, but I want to be more open. I'm in the SMNA. I just don't talk much. Oh, yeah, I've seen you there. Diamond Tree says, so on writing good books before yo good and start making internet photo books or so on. I don't know what that sentence says. Nara says, wolf, but trying to change. Got you. Okay. Well, we're going to help you with that tonight for sure. Caddy George says, I got big balls. All right, Caddy. Enjoy your balls. That's actually a medical problem. You realize that. That's called elephantiasis. You're going to want to hit up a doctor and get that squared away. Diamond Tree says, Ursula. Fearful Pinata says, open to help but lack the confidence to apply it. Open to help but lack the confidence. I understand that. You're open to help, but you lack you lack the confidence to try applying the help? I'm not sure how confidence plays into that challenge right there. Donovan says, finally, I have the chance to watch you live. I'm glad you're here, Donovan. Good to have you. Chantel says, when money no longer is the object in your career, you know you found your passion. Okay, I think I'm a lone wolf, but I chalk it up to not having the life experience at 18. I also don't feel that I know where to reach. That's probably because I haven't been reaching, though. So we'll help a little bit with that tonight, too. I definitely understand that. I don't think not knowing what to ask for help means you're a lone wolf. I've run into that problem even at my stage. I have a mentor of mine who's a dear friend who I've wanted to approach with some business questions, but I'm not sure how to formulate them because it's an area where I'm completely ignorant. And I don't like, I asked him a question one time. He's like, dang, dude, I don't even know how to answer this. This is so broad. And I'm like, yeah, I'll figure out a way to ask it better. Right, so that's not necessarily lone wolfing, but what I'll do is I'll help you start to figure out the direction you should be walking in. That way you know where to ask for help. Joshua says, what's up, Mr. Bryant? I was a lone wolf for a while, and over the last year, I'm becoming coachable more and more every day, little by little. Duan says, many people love talking about their experiences. Chantel says, yep. Taj Marie says, I'm trying to be less of a lone wolf. Okay. Diamond Tree says, yes, I'm a lone wolf. Let's see. I would actually, based on my interaction with Diamond Tree, I'd say he's not a lone wolf. I'd say he does a very thorough job of asking for help. Joshua says, true, we are narcissistic and entitled as Americans more than I've ever seen. It's getting a little scary. It's probably not. It's probably not more. You're just exposed to it more. We're humans are naturally narcissistic to a degree. Um, I think what it is we're not more narcissistic. Our narcissism is just exposed more because we have the internet. We can't hide as much as we could in the past. So you notice it more because you're able to see it more, whereas before it was a lot easier to hide it. Um, let's see. Terry says, I'm definitely a lone wolf, no question about it. I learned most of the things I know by myself, had no choice. Taj Marie says, I'm trying to be less of a lone wolf. Terry says, my problem is that I require one-on-one coaching for it to work. Nobody is willing to one-on-one coach me. So, okay, that's a great place to start. What are you doing for them to get them to coach you? If nobody around you is willing to coach you one-on-one, I imagine it's because they probably don't have a lot of time. How can you add value to their life in a way that would free up time for them to coach you? And by the way, one of the easiest ways to get somebody to coach you one-on-one is to pay them. Um, which I know sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I pay for coaching all the time. It's where I get the best coaching a lot of times. Or I pay for coaching and then meet other coaches in those programs I become friends with and they help me. Terry says, and I don't know who to reach out to. We'll talk about that tonight. Raven says, BryantChambers, have you got that Google Doc available? I do not, Raven. Unfortunately, I do not. Let's see. Chantal says, Gordon Ramsay started off as a trainable little onion peeler and worked for the best of chefs in this humble position. Years of working under other men taught him the skills he needed. There you go. Let's see. CC says, my indication that I'm not doing enough is that I haven't faced much rejection or failure. I've been avoiding it like the plague. Yeah, and so, avoiding rejection is a natural human tendency. Okay, so don't beat yourself up because you're avoiding it. It's natural. I mean, we're a tribal species. We're a social and tribal species. As many of you guys will sit here and say, I don't like being social. Whether you like it or not, you're social to a degree. Uh, and because we're a tribal species, we do not like to be ostracized from the tribe because 10,000 years ago it meant you're probably going to die having your stomach eaten by another animal. So as such, that's one of the number one reasons public speaking is the biggest fear people have because you're being judged and potentially ostracized by a large room full of people, and it's just a natural human response to I don't want to be rejected. But what you have to realize is you just have to rewire your brain to say, well, even if these people reject me, I'm not going to die. And that natural fear that I'm having is my survival mechanism brain, which we're going to talk about a little bit more tonight later on too. It's my brain trying to keep me alive instead of trying to get me to the thing I want. Remember, your brain is wired to make you survive, not live and be happy and prosperous. It's not wired for that. It's wired to keep you from dying. And so you have to mix heart knowledge with head knowledge and move out in those regards. And sometimes that requires having a little bit of faith that what you think here in the moment is wrong, walk out on faith, and then you realize it is wrong, and then you destroy that fear. Like, I probably used to have fear of being on stage a long time ago. Now, sometimes I still get nervous before certain talks, like if I really don't know the audience and how they're going to react. But I just jump on the stage and get it in. And if I bomb, which I don't think I've ever quite bombed, but if I do, like I've had shows as a musician where I sucked hard and then still had people asking me for autographs after the show. So don't sweat it. All right. Dan and Carrie Lawrence say, hi, everyone. So is it Dan or Carrie this time? I always have to ask. Raven says, I have just made a big cut out of that first half. Still love them, but okay, she's talking to someone else. Ella Wilson says, I think the word narcissism is misconstrued. Okay. Kiana Mayfield says, I've been a lone wolf for a long time with many dreams and goals, but no structure or plan to make them happen and need to get out of my head and any search for need to get out of my head and any search for the perfect plan. Taj Marie says, one problem, one of my problems is that I set goals only to find out that I underestimate the amount of effort. Okay. It's not a problem necessarily. If you just do more effort. Terry says, maybe if I knew a way of making a living blogging, things would be less complicated. So he says, I'm just not sure. It's absolutely possible because there's people who are doing it. The challenge is you're a lone wolf, so you're going to try to figure it all out yourself and not realize that the people who are doing it, they're doing things that you aren't, and they're usually things that you can't see. Right? So, like, for example, a lot of you here are in my social media Ninja Academy. I'll share one of the tricks is you go to someone else's channel and you sort their channel by most viewed videos. You can literally see when their channel took off and study everything about that time frame and what were they doing differently, right? So a lot of the changes and a lot of the things that successful people do are very subtle. They're not like this one little trick that someone in a freaking online course. You keep taking online courses hoping to find a little trick. That's why none of my courses focus on stupid little tricks, because first of all, there are stupid little tricks. They're not what makes somebody ultimately successful, and they don't work forever. All right, so I'm gonna drink out of this big water jug. So if you made a whole program based on simple little tricks and we thought that that's how it worked, so what you need to do if you want to be a professional blogger, first of all, you need to start believing that it is possible, because by the way, it is, because there's people who are doing it. What you need to do is find a person who's in the field that you want. And now I know Terry, so I know he's interested in gaming. So go find someone who's doing it for gaming, whether they're writing on Medium or their own website and making a living at it, and pick their brain. Matter of fact, I'll give you someone to contact. Go on Twitter and go find Derek Buck. It's at Death by Derek. Ask him how, and by the way, before you ask him, buy his DVD. This is pro tip right here. Buy Derek's DVD called a Great Big Bunch of CGR Undertow. Watch it all the way to the end. Watch his interviews at the end talking about how he got the job at Classic Game Room and what he did, right? Then reach out to him and say, hey, I watched your videos. Somebody I follow loves all your work and was raving about you. Listen, I will dedicate a certain amount of my skills to you for a certain amount of time, totally for free, if you'll just give me a couple 30 minutes, an hour to just pick your brain about how you're making a living doing what you're doing, right? And then you can work your way up. There's people even more successful than Derek, but Derek's also accessible, right? So it's just about making the connections with the people who can actually help you. So Terry says, but this is a website. It doesn't matter. Like, it's a website, not a YouTube channel. It's a Facebook page. The principles that make all these things work are the same, right? It's good contextual content delivered in a timely fashion consistently. That's it. That's the formula, right? And then then it's collaborations. Then it's guest writing. There's all those other things become the extra credit. But if you are good enough at what you do, it will eventually catch on if you're doing the right things consistently, and not like people that email like, I've been on YouTube for 3 months and nobody's watching my channel. Well, welcome to YouTube, homie. Like, that's how it works. Keep working. Call me after 3 years. You know? Dan and Carrie says they needed to define what success means to me. Cool. All right, so let's jump into the 4, or maybe it ends up being 7 steps to make sure that you're on the right path towards your dreams, the things that you want, the things that you want to transpire and take place. Let's make sure my feed still looks good. My feed still looks good. Everybody's here. Thanks for coming out tonight, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully everybody had a great New Year. I know a couple of you came on my New Year stream. I was in pain because I was sick that whole weekend, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Step 1. Okay, how do I make sure that I am on the right path? Okay, now, All of these are going to apply whether you're a lone wolf or someone who's open to being trained and taught. Okay, someone who's teachable or someone who's a lone wolf. Um, the principles aren't going to change, but you got to get out of lone wolf mode, and you'll see why as we go through it. Number one, and you guys hear me beat this into the ground, but I can never stress it enough because people underestimate how powerful it is, and it's self-awareness. You have got to develop a high level of self-awareness, and inevitably people ask me, well, how do I do that? I'm like, well, first of all, you can start simply by taking some of these personality tests that are out there. I'm well known for a lot of Myers-Briggs content. I'm less known for the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the Myers-Briggs. Uh, I won't say I'm not a fan of the test because the test has been very useful for me over the years. I'm not a fan of how people try to use it. So inevitably, when someone will say, "Hey, I'm an ISFP. I'm thinking about dating an ENTJ. Do you think it's going to work?" I'm like, if that's the first thing you're evaluating it, like, have you checked? Like, first of all, is he an axe murderer? Because regardless of his Myers-Briggs type, if he's a drug dealer or a murderer, it's probably not going to work. Like, people are looking for these overly simplified solutions to, I fit into box number 1 of box number 16 and he fits into box number 8 of box number 16. Are those two boxes compatible? Of course they are. Like, the Myers-Briggs test was not designed to help you make dating decisions. Carl Jung's theories were designed to help you self-actualize in the areas of understanding the way your mind works, the way it processes information, and the way you come to decisions. It wasn't meant for you to use as a, if I'm an ENTJ, I have to have this job. Now, I've talked about relationships and uh, I've talked about careers, but what I'm talking about there is having a discussion to help you start to self-actualize, and using the Myers-Briggs as kind of a Trojan horse to help you understand that your career success is going to be very tied to you individually. Your career happiness is going to be tied to you individually, not your Myers-Briggs type. And yes, your type stereotypically would mean you might not do too well in this field, but I can name an exception to every single one of those rules. Every one of them. I know INFJs who are coders, but I thought they were supposed to be artists. Well, coding is like art, depending on how you look at it, right? So, but self-awareness is so key, and that's why so much of my channel is dedicated to it, because like I said, like I always say, from the great book by General Sun Tzu, which I don't see right now, and it's supposed to be on my shelf of favorite books, and I don't see Brother Sue, which is bothersome. But in the book, he talks about how the person who knows their enemy and knows themselves will never be endangered in 100 encounters. And to translate that into modern non-warfare English, if you know yourself and you know where you're going, what you're trying to do, and the problems you're facing and why they're the way they are, you'll never fail, because you will make decisions based on knowing yourself and knowing the problems, right? So it's so vitally important that you build a level of self-awareness, because if you're not self-aware, like if you go chase a job for money, not knowing that you are not motivated by money, that you are motivated by cause, that you are motivated by mission and vision and having core values that match with a company, and you just go take the money, but you end up being in a place that doesn't share your values and they piss on you professionally. I've been there. Uh, I have literally been in jobs where I was told I had more management experience than everybody in the circle that I worked for, and they still treated me like slavery had just ended and someone had just taught me how to read. And I'm not even exaggerating. I've been there. Now, it paid great, but it was a freaking nightmare every single day. So you have to understand who you are, where you fit, what drives you, what motivates you. You have to know those things. And if you don't start with that as your core, it's like if you held up a weapon, right? And let's say you're holding it right, all that stuff's good. You're looking at a target that's hundreds of meters away, but your sights are off. No matter how well you squeeze the trigger, no matter how well and steady you hold, no matter how good your breathing is, if your sights are off, every time you squeeze the trigger, that bullet is going to miss the target every time. Like, the degree to which your sights aren't aligned properly is going to determine, and the further away the target, meaning the bigger your goal, the further off target you're going to be every time you fire the weapon. So you have to make sure that your compass, which is that self-awareness, it's you, is set up properly, right? You have to have that. And I can't stress it enough that you have to, and that's why so much of this channel is dedicated to Myers-Briggs and Hexaco and eventually Enneagram and understanding wisdom from ancient people and not so ancient people, because I want you to be able to understand exactly who you are, because people that tell me they're lost is because they haven't figured themselves out yet. Like, you can't figure out what your career is supposed to be if you can't figure out what makes you tick. And it comes from spending time. Like, I've been telling people, I've been taking personality tests, the DISC test, Myers-Briggs. I've been taking all those tests since, I might even be able to pinpoint the year I started taking them. I started taking those tests back in 1997, maybe. So about 20 years. So I've been at it for a while, is the point. uh, and you're not going to figure it out all. You're not going to figure all of it out overnight. I believe the psyche is really a moving target. It's one of my favorite quotes when it comes to psychology, and I hear Jordan Peterson doesn't necessarily say this quote, but I love the way he presents information, and that none of us are always anything. And so I don't like the idea of having a personality type. I like the idea of having a fluid personality that's evolving as I evolve and I mature. Because one of the things that I think we miss, Dr. David Buss talks about this, and Dr. David Buss, if you're wondering, is the guy that wrote this wonderful book. He talks about how, you can evaluate someone's personality and their narcissism and their psychopathy and all these different things, but you have to also factor in maturity. Like, that's not something they test for, but if the person's completely immature, they can test. Like, I talked to a friend who dated an ENTJ, for example, and she was astounded at how different I was than him. I was like, well, the issue is he's almost 20 years younger than me, and he's clearly emotionally immature when it comes to certain things, right? So, I've been that guy too, so I'm not judging him. I've been there. So self-awareness, 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 self-awareness. Every book you can read, every test you can take that's going to help you better understand why you are the way you are and why you think the way you think. Because you got to remember, if you are not actively taking control of how you think and the way you think, you're going to be what Ty Lopez calls the bitch of your own brain. And Tony Robbins talks about this a lot too, where it's like, if you don't take active control of your thoughts and the way you think, you are going to work for your brain. And like I told you a minute ago, your brain is wired to survive, not to thrive, not to prosper, not to be happy. Your brain is wired to find things that are wrong. Why do you think people are so negative all the time? Because that's how we learned to survive millions to thousands of years ago. We learned to survive by focusing on things that are negative. Want to know why the news is negative all the time, good people? Because it'll make you watch it so that they can sell you Taco Bell ads. Period. The news is the first reality TV show. Period. Reality TV was based off of, and I don't have documented proof, but reality TV, the experiment that became that was, well, the news is so popular. Because remember, one of the first reality TV shows was Cops, right? And MTV's Real World, but you had Cops. Cops was like a news show. It was just chasing criminals down in white. That's where the term wife beater comes from. And so your brain is wired to want to pay attention to that because that's how it's learned how to survive. So people are like, why is the news always so negative? Can't they report anything positive? Not if they want to sell you McDonald's ads, because that news channel doesn't exist to bring you news. The news is not in the news business. The news is in the advertising and marketing business. Television shows are not in the TV business. They're in the advertising and marketing business. Television shows are on the air to sell you ads. It's one of the reasons I don't run ads on this channel. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give you what I have to help you go out, stop being a lone wolf, and get after your life and take command of it. All right, that's why you will not watch ads on these videos. You're not gonna watch a stupid ad for check out the new BMW. Like, really? Anyway, I'll get off my ad soapbox, but you have to have that level of self-awareness. Number two, all right, I stayed on that long enough. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments that I need to respond to. CC says, BryantChambers, yes, I was going to ask if you watched Jordan Peterson. Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Darius K says, Jordan Peterson is awesome. I agree. Terry says, but I don't have a domain name. That's an excuse. Go get one. In fact, the company I use to make domain names or buy domain names is in your country. Go get it. Go get it right now. Stop listening to this call and go buy your domain name. By the way, everybody on this call, please, side note, will you please go to, I don't care which one you use, GoDaddy or whatever. I don't like GoDaddy, but it doesn't matter. Will you please go buy yourname.com? In 20 years, you and your grandkids will all thank me because you will have a piece. If you haven't caught on to the fact that real estate is also going to be digital, like housing is right now, it's finite. Go buy yourname.com before we're finished here tonight. Your first name, your last name.com. Everybody go buy that tonight. It'll cost you like $13 for a year. If you don't have $13, go borrow it from somebody. All right. Let's see. Terry says, oh man, YouTube's tripping. Sorry, guys. Terry says, but I don't have a domain name. We fixed that already. Then Terry says, or a method of generating income. So go, like I just gave you a method, brother. Go talk to people who are being successful and let them show you how to do it. Everything you're saying right now is making assumptions based on ignorance. Go talk to people. I mean, you could talk to me. You're in my program, for God's sake. Post that question on the Facebook group and we'll have it. I'll teach you how I get traffic to my website and how right now, if you type in the term 69 pillars or how to monetize a gaming channel on YouTube in Google search, I'm the guy that comes up. That's not on accident, right? Oh, he says, that's why I'm asking you. I know that's why you're asking me. What I'm saying is this call is probably not the place for us to get into detail about that. Definitely get in the groups that you're a part of. And by the way, you'll get answers not just from me, but the advice that I gave you, because I'm not a blogger. Like, I have a blog, but I have a blog more out of necessity. I don't enjoy writing. Like, I enjoy talking and doing video way more. That's why I focus on podcast and video and Facebook. But talking to people who are like, I don't make a lot of money off of blogging. Like, I have a blog that brings traffic, and yes, it leads to sales, but blogging is not the vehicle that I'm using to make money. Okay? No more than YouTube is my primary source of income. YouTube is, it's extra cheese, man. But I can teach you how to make extra cheese on YouTube because extra cheese is better than no cheese. But yeah, like you got to connect with people who are winning at what you're trying to do. Now, I can help you with some of the basics. I can teach you search engine optimization, how to optimize for voice versus contextual typing search. There's a lot of things that I can teach you and a lot of ways that I can help you make money, but you're going to be better off in the long run by not just paying attention to me for blogging specifically, but paying attention to people who are blogging and getting loot for it. And there's tons and tons of people who do it, and there's a lot of techniques that they're using that you're probably not aware of. One of them you are aware of because you already do it. You write for Destructoid, or at least you did for a while. Continue doing that, but you should be writing on your own blog and linking back to that stuff. That's going to give your website more authority, right? And then do guest posts. You should be collaborating with other people and getting other outlets. Like, what's that game website I used to write for? Like Bitmob. Like, a part of the reason why I had the traction I had as a game reviewer is because I could go to companies and tell them I used to write for Dan Shu. I mean, who's gonna name drop Dan Shu and not be being honest? Maybe there's people who do it, but I could also prove it. I could say, here's the article I wrote that Dan Shu edited, and it says it on there, right? So I didn't have to lie. It was the truth. So, stuff like that, man. Yeah, you need a mentor that fits what you need to do. So yeah, really what you need, and we'll talk about this later in the video, is all of you need multiple mentors. It's like you'll hear me, any coach that's worth his weight in anything, Tony Robbins says it, I say it, you don't just need me. You need me because I'm gonna help you, but I'm only gonna help you with certain things. Like I'm not ever, well, I won't say ever. I don't run a course that says how to get 1 million YouTube subscribers because I don't have 1 million YouTube subscribers, and I don't take the actions that get somebody to a high level of subscribers very, very quickly. Now, there are techniques you can use to do that. I can teach you some of those techniques, but if I haven't proven them myself, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that, right? I play the long game. I play the 1 billion subscriber game on YouTube. And you don't get that by being a flash in the pan funny guy. You get that by legacy and adding value and giving value to people day after day after day after day after day for a long time. Like I tell people in the program, I'm playing the 20-year social media game, not the 5-minute one that allows me to make a couple $1,000s a month, right? So yeah, it takes me a little bit longer sometimes to make money, but check the money I'm making at the end of the game and check the money that the fly-by-night people are. So anyway, let's see what other questions and comments we got here. Jordan Peterson is Austin. I can't speak English tonight, yo. Ursula says, I do not have TV or read the paper. I learn by videos and books. Soapbox Hat BC. Yeah, I think that's cool. I certainly don't learn things by watching TV, and I hate television. I really, really do. I don't. About the only thing I'll ever watch on TV is when my wife or my mother-in-law are watching something on HGTV or like a Bear Grylls show. But even that stuff I'll watch on Netflix. Like a really good video for all you guys and ladies to watch is Bear Grylls goes and becomes a part of the French Foreign Legion with a bunch of his friends. That's such a great life lesson series, learning about how far you really can go if you're willing to put in the work and what it really takes to be successful and how much you have to be willing to sweat, lose sleep, bleed in some cases, right? I mean, I came on last week's call with a stomach virus where I could barely get out of bed, right? Because I believe in continually bringing you all value. If I'm talking about I'm trying to change people's lives, I'm not gonna be like, well, my stomach hurts, so I'm out tonight. No, I got to get it done. All right, what else we got? Anna Popat says, fluid personality. Yes, don't fall into the trap of placing yourself in a box. These personality tests are merely just tools for us to help better understand ourselves. They're not our identity. And so that's one of the reasons why I love the Hexaco, because there is no box. The Hexaco is just measuring you on a scale and saying, hey, you may have a little bit of an issue with having anxiety. The beautiful thing about that is that's not a personality type. You are not anxiety. You may struggle with anxiety, and there's things you can do to address that. Or like me, I score a little bit too low in sentimentality. So there are things I do in my life practically to show empathy to people it doesn't come naturally to me. But the more I do it, the better I get at it, and the more natural and the more authentic it seems. Right? People aren't thinking, oh, he's just trying to butter someone up or get on their good side. Like, he genuinely is trying to connect. He's just different, and he's trying. But that comes from being self-aware. Let's see. So Terry was saying something about losing money to write blogs. I missed what led up to that. Ursula says, I do not. Okay, I read that one already. Terry says, I'll be losing money for nothing. I don't understand what you mean by losing money. Tosh Marie says, I probably need 5 to 10 mentors. Dude, I have, off the top of my head, I got a number of guys that mentor me in life. There's at least 3 of those. I have 2 personal people who coach me in business who are friends of mine and some very close friends. Then I have other business coaches that I pay. So that's at least 10 people there. Like I have more coaches than I can probably count. But you got to. Like if you want to be good, you have to have that. Raven says BryantChambers had a couple people ask how to get mentors. Well, first of all, this call is a good place to start because it has to start with self-awareness. If you don't know what you need to be mentored in, I think you can break it down like Ty Lopez does. It's health, wealth, love, and happiness, his 4 pillars of eudaimonia or whatever he calls it. And it's none of those ideas are his original ideas. He gets those from a lot of the books that we all read, but they're good ideas. And so you probably need to have someone who's mentoring you in health. Like I have people that help me with emotional and mental help. I have people in my life that I go to on a regular basis who help me walk through my life. Like I just lost my dad, yo. Like I'm not gonna not talk to somebody about that. I may seem strong and have it together on camera, but make no mistake, there are days where it's hard. Right, so I have to have somebody I can go to for that. So that's health, right? Wealth. I have to have people. I know my goals for business. I know what I do in business. So I'm probably not gonna reach out to Warren Buffett to coach me directly because I'm not really interested in earning my wealth the way he does. Now, granted, if Warren Buffett wants to mentor me, I'm all in. But what I'm saying is I'm probably going to look for a mentor who's more in my lane, right? I'm going to learn. Like I told the joke where Gary Vaynerchuk yelled at me about something. I'm going to turn to somebody like him. I'm going to turn to people like Jeffrey Gitomer, right? Ryan Holiday's, the Ty Lopez, the Joe Sotos, these people. So because they're in my lane, just like I told Terry to go reach out to Derek Buck because Derek Buck has lived what Terry's trying to do. And he's been through the ups, the downs, and back up. So he can walk Terry through literally how I rose to success, how it all crashed, and how his life almost came unraveled because of it, and then how he got back up on top, or is working his way back up to the top. So you want, when you're looking for mentors, you have to kind of have an idea of what you need to be mentored in, so that you know who to reach out to. And then how do you get them? Well, the easiest way to get somebody to pay attention to you is to pay attention to them. So if I want someone to mentor me in something, I'll take them to lunch. I'll offer, like one of my mentors all the time. And you'll find that sometimes with mentors, it's serendipity. Like you just have to have people in your life that connect you. But networking, that's another great way to get mentors. Go to network events. And I get it, YouTube, a lot of you are asocial, but get it, like fix that. Like go to networking events. I've met some I run digital and social media marketing seminars in my local town. I host them. I have people that come to those to learn, but who also coach me and help me in business because they have experience in areas where I don't. I don't know everything. So I give them some, they give me some. So one of the best ways to get someone to coach you is to give them something of yourself that you're good at, and sometimes for free. Honestly, the best way to get some of the best coaches is pay them. There's a billion courses online where you can learn everything, and I don't necessarily, and this is actually a great lead into number 2 on tonight's call. I don't understand why people think, like, well, I'm not going to pay someone to teach me. Why? America pays millions of dollars in tax money to send children to a crappy school system. We pay for that. Why wouldn't we pay for good education? Right? You pay for college to go there for 4 or 5 years and spend $100,000 and not get a job. So why is it so crazy to pay someone to coach you in something that you act like? You wouldn't go to the martial arts gym and be like, okay, I'm ready for the coaching. You the guy? You the black belt? The one who's dedicated his entire life to teaching people how to do kicks and break boards? Okay, I'm ready. Coach me. Oh, you want me to pay you for that? Well, how dare you? How dare you ask me to pay you? Oh, I shouldn't have to pay someone to show me how to do something. It's ludicrous the amount of information we have access to that you can literally pay someone a couple $100. Some people it's a couple thousand, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have never, ever purchased a training program ever that wasn't worth what I paid for it. Now, There's a caveat to that. I have gotten into paid programs for free that are not worth what they were charging for them. And this would have been about 2 years ago. I got into this Twitter course and this dude has all kinds of online courses. I won't say his name because I'm not trying to badmouth this guy. And I'll admit the course is a little old, so he might have better courses now. But I think this course ran somewhere around like $300. It literally just taught you how to set up your Twitter profile. It was like, yeah, I could have YouTubed that. Thanks. And he taught me how to make lists. Yeah, I could have just figured that one out. So not every course out there is created equal. And I can tell you, like the courses that I run, I purposefully give way more information than some of my competitors do in their stuff. One, to keep me competitive, but two, so that no one ever can come back and say, well, dang, he didn't give every bit of his soul to help us, right? And but personally, I want to give you that type of value. But one of the best ways to find mentors is find someone who's doing what you like to do. And then one of the things I love doing and a part of my business and something that I do on a pretty regular basis is public speaking. Yes, I have a public speaking coach. Yes, I pay him. And you know what's funny is once I started paying him and buying his programs and then buying his in-person coaching, you know how much stuff he gives me for free? I don't have to pay ever again for another one of my one-on-one meetings with him because I've given him so much of my money that he's just like, yeah, come on out whenever. Right? Like, but I paid him. And if he has higher level programs where like I could fly out to his house that I would have to pay for, that wouldn't be free. And I'd gladly pay that because I know the value. And one of the courses that he offers is about $15,000. I have no problem paying for that. The challenge with me right now is that it's time. Like that's a week and a half I've got to take away from stuff that I'm really heavily working on right now. So it's like to invest that much money and that much time for me right now is just not the right move. But believe me, like his course being $15,000, I didn't even bat an eyelash. I'm like, actually, my response to him when he told me it was 15,000 was, "That's it?" Because what you gave us for like 1,000 was better than every other course I've probably ever been to, and I got to meet like Donald Trump's former right hand man who was teaching us about marketing. Like you can hate Donald Trump all you want, but the dude is a master marketer. And his former right hand man was in the room teaching us about, he was one of Donald Trump's mentors on the business side, not on the not he quit when Donald Trump ran for president. But I got to spend time with him and like sit with this guy that's my dad's age. Actually, he was older than my dad by quite a bit, and just pick his brain. And he's the most humble. This is a billionaire dude, he's the most humble dude in the world. Just like, hey man, I went to ask him questions like, sir, yeah, I'm kind of hesitant. He's like, dude, don't hesitate. Ask your question. Don't ever be afraid of any of this. Like, what's up with you? What do you want to know? So yeah, like one of the best ways to get mentors, guys, is pay them. Because you know what's interesting is most people are afraid to like buy a course or pay a mentor. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to get my money's worth. But you know what you're not really thinking about that's insane is those of us that sell courses are on the other end like, man, I got to make sure I over deliver because these people are giving me money. Do you know what would happen if I sold a course that was BS? And it was just like if I sold you a course for $1,000 and you showed up there and I showed you how to put your Twitter profile together. Do you know how fast the internet would burn down everything I've ever done? I'd have to change my name, like get a tan and a blonde wig and start over. Like I have like the customer has all the leverage because it didn't used to be that way. There was a time when entrepreneurs could totally rob people. Sony did it for years, decades. But I won't get on that soapbox. People are afraid, like, if I buy this course, am I going to get my money's worth? The course makers are thinking, oh, crap, people are buying this course. I better make sure it's extra, extra, extra awesome. Because why? Because that's my reputation. And my reputation is what partially is making sure that my children have food. So we have to rewire the way our brains work. Like instead of being skeptical and cynical of everything, again, by the way, that's the lone wolf category. If you haven't caught on, being skeptical and cynical of everything is the lone wolf. The trusting someone to be able that's telling you that they want to help you with something. Very few people want to take advantage of you, even if they're crappy people, because by doing right by you, like by the way, my coach that I just sang all of his praise, when you meet with him, he's a jerk. He will rip you a new one and not apologize for it. But sometimes you need people like that to help you grow, right? But no one walks away from that. Like, matter of fact, my first time meeting with him, a dude almost walked out of the session because he's like, this guy's disrespecting me. I'm like, if you don't sit your dumb ass down and learn something from this guy and stop being so dang sensitive, everything he's teaching right now is leaps and bounds above every other training course I've ever been in. Shut your mouth and listen and stop being so sensitive to everything. And I told him, because he was a younger guy, and I made him sit down. But he's not nice to you when you go to his course. But no one walks away from that course after 8 hours and thinks, well, that wasn't worth the couple $1,000 I spent on this, right? So, or in that case, I think that particular course was a couple $100. But the point is, you got to rewire the way you're looking at things. The cynical, skeptical, everyone's out to get me and take my money, that's the lone wolf. And I honestly don't understand how we got there. Like, have you been robbed and taken advantage of so many times? Of course not. I mean, some people have. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but most often than not, when you've gone to the store to buy a Coca-Cola, you got a Coca-Cola. Like, you didn't get home and it was water. Like, oh! But some of you went to college and spent $100,000 and don't have a job. Ain't nobody yelling at colleges calling that a scam. Colleges also don't have a money back guarantee if you don't get a job. Every person I know that sells courses has a money back guarantee. Uh-oh. So anyway, one of the best ways you can get mentors is to pay them or in some way, shape, or form to add value, to give value to them. So number 2, I'll get off my soapbox. Number 2. Number 1 was self-awareness. Number 2, invest in yourself. And it's tied to that's why I spent so long on that rant, is because it led perfectly into, you have to invest in yourself. Let me give you an example. Hold on, got a comment here. Dino says, man, when you try to get a job, people take advantage. Believe me, yeah, if they're a crappy job. Good job. Good leaders and good business owners know that if they take care of their people, their business does better. Yeah, I mean, certainly there are people out there trying to take advantage of you, but not the way people, especially in America, like the outcry on the internet. Like, I feel like America needs a bottle and a nap. You need to grow up sometimes. JT says, nah, we peeped college's game a few years ago. That's good. You escaped the trap. And I'm not against college, by the way, friends. I'm just saying we beat up all these people selling a freaking $1,000 course that's better than a college course, but we don't get mad that college charges us. Now, I was on scholarship, so I didn't pay for my college. Well, I paid for my last year of college because I was on the remedial program. But the point is, we don't get mad at colleges for sucking all that money and us gladly paying student debt, which I'm gladly I don't have any. But, you know, we're just crazy is what it is. But number 2, invest in yourself. Let me give you an example. When I hear people say, I wanted to go to this conference. Now, here's what people have to understand about me. If you follow me, I pay attention to what you do too. Now, I'm not talking about stalking people or none of that crap, but like if you have a YouTube channel and you leave me a comment, oftentimes I'll check out your YouTube channel or I'll check out your Instagram, right? Because I want to know who's following me. I want to know how to better give value to you, and I do that by building relationship with you. Inevitably, I'll get people that say, yeah, I wanted to go to this conference, let's say with Jocko Willink, or I wanted to go to this Tony Robbins conference, but I just didn't have the money. That same person, I'll be on their Instagram like a month later, and they just bought like a brand new video game system with like 6 games. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that Tony Robbins conference costs $399 because I'm planning on going to it either this year or next year. and Jocko Willing's conference, which is the one I think my team is going to this year, my local team. And so uh, that's $399. The PlayStation 4, the Xbox One X you just bought was $500 or whatever it is, and the games and controllers. Like, I see way too much. People will spend all of their money for fleeting moments of play and enjoyment. By the way, I'm not against video games, guys. You can look right over here at my video game shelf, all right next to the books. I'm not against any of that. I'm not against entertainment or you having a good time. But when in one breath I'm hearing you say, I can't afford to start a website or I can't do these other things, but you will find a way for the things that you like. If Tony Robbins' program is $399, it's so incredibly cheap compared to what he's going to teach you the time that you're there. The relationships, like one of the beautiful things of going to conferences and why I said you need to get more social. One of the beautiful things of doing that, guys, is you get to meet other like-minded people. I still have friends that I keep in contact with who've been at conferences that I paid to go to. In fact, I just paid to go to a conference that a friend of mine is holding. Right? I gladly paid for that because I know in the time that I'm going to spend with him, I'm going to get time with him. I'm going to get time with. Matter of fact, I'll do you one better. I paid money to go to a social media coaching conference that a friend ran. I run a social media agency. He was simply just teaching social media tactics for entertainers because he is one. Now, don't get me wrong, the man is good at what he does, but my point is, I run a social media marketing agency as part of what I do, right? And I've been doing that for basically since about 2004. And we didn't start with social media. We started on the website and then evolved into social media. And it started a little bit before YouTube, and then YouTube became a part of it. But anyway, I run an agency. Like, do you think I need to pay money to drive an hour away from my house to learn tactics from somebody who I know I've written books that probably have more detail than what I'm going to get there, right? And I'm not taking anything away from his course because here's the interesting thing. Why would I pay for that? Simple. I'm going to get FaceTime with an old friend who I love to death, who we share a vision to make the world a better place, and who I still have not yet had the chance. We haven't had our schedules aligned so that we can collaborate. I'm going to get FaceTime with him that I wouldn't be able to just get because I'm going to a place where I know he's going to be. He's scheduled to be there, and his job at this thing that I paid for is to talk to me. But why would you pay to talk to a friend? Because I'm not paying to talk to my friend. I'm paying a friend. Now, granted, he probably would have let me come without paying, but to me, that's not cool, right? I wanted to pay him. But you know what else? He taught me some things I didn't know. And I hit him up. I was like, dude, I never knew about this. This is dope. He taught me about some tools that I had never really known about that I've added to my entire repertoire. It's made some of my content extra buttery and dope, right? And so then I got to meet other artists and other people. No, I didn't do any business with them, but it's so crazy to me that we will spend money and time doing things that the return on investment for you beating Assassin's Creed is very low. Now, I'm not taking anything away with it. I plan to play it at some point, right? At this point in my life, I played video games for maybe an hour a month. But the return on investment, you have to think about where you're putting your money. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and buy an Xbox One X, but if you're telling me you're too broke to go to a Tony Robbins conference, but then you show up with an Xbox One X, it's not okay. No, let me be clear, because it is okay. If you're telling me that your life is not where you want it to be, and you want to make all these changes, you want to get better, you want to learn more, you want to learn faster, be better, make more money, and you're telling me you can't get to the conference of a man that self-made himself into a billionaire for $300 for 8 hours with this man or whatever it is. And it's not just him. He has other people that help him. But the point is, you're telling me you're too broke to get the Tony Robbins conference, but you found a way to get Assassin's Creed and all this stuff. And you're telling me that your life isn't where you want it to be. You're effing up. Period. You are just pure. I used to talk about this with friends back when I was on the entertainment side of the house, where I see friends talking about living in the hood. And man, it sucks living in the hood. But dude, you drive a Mercedes. Why in the flying foxtrot are you driving a $60,000 car and living in an apartment that's almost as big as the car in places where you might get shot? Trade in the car, get a Hyundai, and go move to a nicer, like, it's so simple sometimes that I think we miss it. And part of the problem is some of you are too dang intelligent for your own good. And what I find with intelligent people most of the time is that they think solutions to things are more complicated than what they really are. What they don't realize is that the actual solution is very simple, but the execution is difficult. And what people do is they get simple and hard, they get simple and easy confused, right? Well, that solution's too simple. That can't be the answer. I mean, I've had smart people tell me, why did you recommend that? That's too simple for it to be the solution. I'm like, no, genius. The solution is simple. Doing the consistent work that makes the simple solution effective is hard. Simple and easy are not the same. Easy, difficult, simple, complex. And so what we want is these complex answers to things. When most of the answers are not complex, it's just that you're not willing to put in the consistent, every day, show up and get punched in the face until you're good enough every day with a simple program. Simple. And so that's why I say sometimes the answer is so simple. It's like, the reason why you are where you are is because of all the decisions you've made up to this point. So if you are broke completely, and by the way, I've been broke, so yes, I can attest to the fact that everything I'm saying to you is true. Stupid decisions that I made, blaming everybody else, saying, they never should have done, blah, they gave me bad advice. You could have read the books that all the smart people were reading who didn't run into that financial problem. The books were there. Like, I had to have that conversation with family members. The banks robbed us. No, we did it to ourselves because you signed that loan that was borderline fraudulent, except for the rider that they wrote into it that basically said, this loan is fraudulent, except if you sign here and say it's okay, we'll take all your money in 10 years. Well, the banks, that's what caused the crash. But we were complicit in the crash because we weren't getting educated. We were just being lemmings. And I'm not saying that that lets the banks off the hook by any stretch. What I'm saying is a lot of people didn't take an L during the last market crash. And we talked about that in my social media marketing course, where I have a video titled, Are You Ready for the Next Crash? Because by the way, friends, it's coming. In fact, it probably should have already happened. And I think part of the reason why it hasn't, part of the reason is that Trump is president and he's going to do what he has to do to prop up the economy so it doesn't happen on his watch for political reasons, not because he's some financial genius. But it's going to come, and then what are you going to revert back to broke mentality, which is take all your money out of the areas where it's actually helping you, like courses and investments. You're going to sell off all your investments. I've made all these mistakes where it's the market crash. Oh, let me sell all my 401ks and everything and get the cash because the world's falling apart and I need to buy guns and food because the zombies are coming. You live at the level you're taught. And if you're not actively seeking out things that are making you stronger and making you smarter, you're going to keep falling for the same problems. And the sick thing about it is it's almost like Men in Black. When it comes to investing in ourselves, where if you've ever seen the movie Men in Black where Tommy Lee Jones is buying tabloids and Will Smith's like, why are you buying these tabloids? He's like, well, because these tabloids are the truth. Like, this is the real news. All this stuff you read is garbage. That's kind of the way the world really is. Like, all the things you think are designed to take advantage of you are things that are actually probably not. And the things that are taking advantage of you right in front of your face, our school system, the college industrial complex, right? All of these things that are taking your money, the news, they're taking your time and your money right in front of your face. Stupid ass entertainment that you watch for 8 hours a day. And yeah, I'm going to say it. Like, turn effing Netflix and YouTube off for 30 minutes and go read something. please, and I know for most of you that watch me, you don't need to hear that, but maybe someone else who's watching this does. Like, enough with the entertainment. Stop overvaluing it. I'm not against it, but dang, go read a book for God's sake. Invest in yourself. If you legitimately can't afford a course, and it's not because you're buying Xboxes or buying stupid stuff, or you're going to parties and buying bottles at the VIP table. I've talked to friends in the entertainment world doing that too. Like, wait a minute, you're broke, but you got a Mercedes and new rims. You got money to be buying bottles at the club. Anyway, like, like if you don't have it, these books are not. This book is like, it's $5, yo. Literally, I know homeless people who make upwards of $100,000 a year because they can beg and make over $300 a day. $5. Go out on the street and beg. Go say, hey, there's a new book I want to get. I'm strapped for cash. Can you help? Can you help contribute to my ongoing education to become a better person so I can pay it forward? You know how many people will actually give you money if you go say that to them? A lot of them. Go on the street and ask for it. Like, you know, my first home that I ever purchased, I took a L, and I mean a hard L. I imagine getting ready to sell a house, and most people are thinking, man, I'm going to make some money. And nope, I had to come up with $11,000. Had to figure that one out. You know, you have savings, you have these things going on, but it's like, okay, I got to come up with 11 G's on the spot just so that the bank doesn't take this house. It's not a fun situation to be in. Now, you know, someone who's trained like me, your mind immediately goes to, okay, let's figure it out. It's an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to do a lot of different things. Okay? So, 1, self-awareness. 2, you've got to invest in yourself. Like, how many of you are on social media? And God bless you if you've been listening to me for the 3 hours I've been talking. Because that's, I'm not trying to lecture or yell at anybody here, by the way. If you're coming on these calls every Friday, kudos, because this is not necessarily Saturday Night Live. Okay, now I can be funny and somewhat, you know, energetic, but trying to give you things that are going to fundamentally help you shape your life the way you want it to be. I don't get to tell you what your life should look like. That's not what this call is about. I'm helping you discover it for you, right? But how many of you are on social media consuming this nonsense? Like, really? Like, do you think I'm on social media reading what people say? Like, you comment. Anybody here believe that I use social media to listen to what people are saying? Like, do you think I'm on BuzzFeed? Like, by the way, I went on BuzzFeed for the first time in my life today. Now, I did it to do research. I wasn't there to take the test that told me if I was peanut butter or jelly, which made me want to throw up all over the screen. That's what our human race has been reduced to, is mindless. Like, it's brain porn. Like, we're so mentally lazy that we need porn for not just regular porn. Like, we need the porn version of education. Like, take this personality test to figure out if you're peanut butter or jelly. Like, oh my Jesus in heaven. Like, I almost hope the zombies come at this point, because we need stuff like BuzzFeed to get eaten. And I'm not trying to crap on BuzzFeed. I get it. They're making their money doing their thing. But, and somebody just said, you can get books from the library for free. You can, and I have. You want to know where else you can get free books? The doctor's office. And they'll give them to you. My copy of The Phantom Toll Booth, the doctor gave it, like, my wife said, oh, that's my husband's favorite book. When she took my son to an appointment, he's like, oh, take it home to him. 100%. I've gotten books from the library, especially some of these more expensive books that you see me flashing around. Now, these are mine. You know, I bought these. But if you don't have $75 to $150 just to throw down on this, get it from the library. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have a big shelf where you display all this stuff like I do to look cool on YouTube videos, which is not why I do it. I do it because this is the one clean spot of this entire office. One day, I'm going to show you the pictures of what the rest of this refugee camp looks like. But yeah. So 1, you got to be self-aware. 2, you have to invest in yourself. You got to be going to conferences. You got to be reading. You got to be finding mentors and coaches. If you can't find them in your real life, pay them. By the way, if you don't have it, save up and pay them. Like, I've never, ever paid for a course and didn't get something out of it that was worth. In fact, I've made more money because of courses I've taken, and not money making courses, like courses to make my brain better. And then in that course, I learned a thing, and I'm like, oh man, I can apply that to my life. Yeah, and then I applied it to my life, and then it made me better at sales, made me better at these other things, right? So, in fact, I went to a conference for public speaking and learned how to do real estate investment. It's like, how do you learn that? Right. So it's just one of those things where if you're not and listen, I do think entertainment has its place. You know, after having gone through losing my dad, I consumed a lot more entertainment this past year than I have in the past because I needed to escape. I couldn't focus all the time on doing my work. Sometimes I just needed to laugh. Okay, and I think entertainment is very powerful in that way. But I think we as Americans are so spoiled, and Westerners, period, are spoiled in such a way that we have access to so much that we take it for granted. And then we're upset when it's not great. Like, I thought this version of Assassin's Creed is garbage. And I'm like, you're saying that to, and granted, you know, as a former game reviewer, I get it. But you're talking to a guy that watched a 10-year-old sell his 14-year-old sister into prostitution just to make enough money to eat in a foreign country. And you're going to complain to me that your video games aren't good enough, or that Stranger Things season 2 wasn't as good as season 1. Yeah. And I'm not talking about you shouldn't have fun discussions about the shows you like to watch. I'm just saying, keep it in perspective. You got to invest in yourself. You have to. And if you're consuming more entertainment, then Tony Robbins says it like this: for any of you that commute and you drive like to work or to whatever it is you do, your car should become your university. I've used that because a lot of times, like when I have to go meet with mentors or with clients, I have to drive far. Um, and if I have an hour long drive, like I look forward to hour or 3 hour long drives now because it's time where I'm going to be taking courses. Because I buy courses too, just like I recommend you guys do. You know, I don't recommend things that I don't do, right? Or at the very least, I don't recommend things that I don't believe work. Because I may recommend someone to do something differently than me, but it's for their benefit, not for my own personal opinion. So 1, self-awareness. 2, got to invest in yourself. 3, you've got to immerse yourself. And this goes back to the joke I said about, or Tony Robbins told the joke at one of his seminars that I listened to, where he was like, the guy went to his 3-day seminar and then 6 months later his life fell apart, and Tony was like, well, you're a jackass, bruh. Did you think coming and hanging out with, like, he's like, do you think that 40 years ago I just did a 3-day thing and then I've been dope for 40 years? Like, he's like, no, bruh, I've been doing this every day for 40 years. Like, that's, you know, this is Tony talking. He's significantly older than me. I haven't been doing anything quite for 40 years, but it's one of those things where um, you gotta do it consistently. Like, you can't just go to one conference or take one course. Like, one of the things I'm known to do is once I get a course, I will take the lessons over and over. Like, so for example, if you look at my peak performance kind of discover your destiny program that we have right now, it's discover your destiny. It's really career focused, but you know, other stuff filters in like relationships and stuff like that, and I'm happy to discuss that with people who are paying me to talk to them. But the one of the things I do in that course is once a person buys it, right, you buy it for your 4-week session, and then you get your 4 weeks of coaching along with the practical exercises and the assignments and the additional material that's there. But what happens is we do another session. You get to watch the next session videos too, and they get to watch yours. So there's people who've joined the program. If they're smart, for a new session, they've gone and watched the old session. So they will come into their sessions already knowing what I'm going to say, which will save time. We can get straight into the specifics of their life and start addressing those things, right? And that's going to go on for as long as, so let's say I do it for the rest of my life and we end up having, you know, 24 sessions a year for 50 years. Well, that's a lot of sessions. The people who joined the program today are going to get all of those lessons forever. And they'll learn something new, and I'll add things to the program over time. It'll get refined and get better. But the person who bought it up front doesn't lose out because they get to watch all that content too. Right. And so I designed it that way so that it's not just you hang out with me for 4 weeks and then you just go try to figure out your life. No, you hang out with me for 4 weeks, and then the next session starts, you're going to watch their videos. But then I'm also posting, like today, I had a practical exercise in the private Facebook group where I was like, okay, walk me through. Here's all the stuff we talked about during the 4-week course. What have you done since we talked? And it's accountability, right? Because at the end of the day, all the things that I'm going to coach you on are very vitally important, but it's your execution that's going to make it work. And 10 times out of 10, when I see a person go through a program, they're like, oh, this didn't really work for me. No, you didn't work it. You just didn't work it. The formulas always work, right? It's you have to work the formulas. And some of that work in the formula is you getting better. Right? I can't expect to suck at sales and then take a course in sales, apply none of it, and keep doing it the way I've always been doing it. And I've seen people come through my marketing program that do that, where it's like they come and they're like, I got this problem, and then we help them with the problem, but then they go back to doing what they were doing, and they don't make progress. Well, it's like, well, we helped you identify what the challenges are. You just have to decide, you know, your behavior doesn't map to what you say you want. Right. So those are things you want to think about. Um, so we talked about one is, again, I'm going to keep repeating these. So for those of you taking notes or those of you coming in late, you're not missing anything. One is self-awareness, and to drill it into all of your heads. One is self-awareness. Two is you've got to invest yourself in yourself. Three is you've got to immerse yourself, right? You cannot expect to read one book one time and then I read Bill Gates' book. I'm good. I'm gonna go start Microsoft too and become a multi-billionaire richest man on the planet. Or I read Jeff Bezos's biography. Now I'm gonna go start the next Amazon. I'm good. Right? So you have to immerse yourself. You have to like in the military, we're always training. Now you have downtime, you have time where you're not doing anything of particular intensity, but you're always finding a way to train and get better. Right? If you've read Louis Zamperini's book, Don't Give Up, Don't Give In. Some of you may have watched the movie the book that the movie was based on. That was a separate book. I forgot the name of that book. Somebody help me out. It was the track star, World War II guy, Louis Zamperini. What was the name of the movie that came out that Angelina Jolie produced? I forgot, but he had a book that he started before that book called Don't Give Up, Don't Give In. And he derailed to make the book that the movie was based on, and then he came back to writing Don't Give Up, Don't Give In before he passed away. Don't Give Up, Don't Give In is a great book, and he talks about, before he went to war, he took every class he could take, and what he found out is in war, because literally everything that could have gone wrong to him with him went wrong, but all of these survival classes that he took kept him alive. So those are things that you want to think about. Okay, so we've gotten through 3 of them. I know I promised you 4, so we'll get to 4. Maybe we'll do a bonus one too. So let me take some comments here. Looks like you guys are just talking amongst yourselves. Yun Zhang says, any self-help book recommendations for INFPs? The same books I'd recommend to any personality type. I don't think I would ever recommend a book based on your Myers-Briggs type. That's something that with the people on my channel, now that I have a lot of attention of Myers-Briggs fans, I'm trying to help coach you guys out of, is using the Myers-Briggs for something it's not really designed to do. Which book would you recommend if I'm an INFP? Same books I'd recommend if you were any personality type. But if you're talking about self-help, I'd say Unlimited Power and Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Both of those books are by Tony Robbins, and they're life-changing books. They're not fast reads, but they're worth every moment you'll spend reading it. Unbroken, unbreakable, unshakable, something like that. Karina. It has a similar title to that. If it's not unbroken, it's definitely in that same vein. Ursula says one of my rhyming books is about a soldier. Some people are offended because my soldier likes guns. Jonathan says, "What good is a book that leaves you hopeless?" Uh, a book that leaves you hopeless. I guess I'd answer that with a question: is it the book that left you hopeless? Mo Rodrigo says, "Bryant, you've been such a great help. Thanks a lot." Hey man, that's what I'm here for, Mo. Bless you, man. Sister Hipster says, "Hi, what's up?" Dino says, "You really talk true stuff. I am not good with words, but investing in good books, seminars, one-on-one is always inspiring and changing for a person. You really make an effort in this direction." Thank you. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, here's the deal. Like, if you want to know, if you want to crack the code, if you want to really get to the soul of why I do what I do and why it may not be as selfless as everybody thinks, like, I was so spoiled to basically be abandoned by my father, my biological father, picked up by the father that raised me, who was a war hero, military mastermind, hyper successful, one of the first black men to do things that he did in history. His picture is at the African American History Museum. Let me put it that way. That's who the guy that raised me is, right? And then to have a mom that taught me about loyalty and looking out for your family, and you do anything to protect your family, and having a biological mother that stuck around and fought and bled and sweat to help me get through college and to give me a nice ride through college. Like, all the people that conspired to make my life amazing, I would be biblically wrong for not passing that forward in some way, right? Like, if I wasn't helping other people, like, I would be rotting. And that's why I say it's not completely selfless. Like, the selfish joy that I get out of helping other people is I get to help other people. Like, I get joy out of this too. So that's selfish. Like, it's about me as much as it's about it. Maybe it's about you guys a little bit more than it's about me, but it's about me too. And I get so much joy out of being able to take what all these people gave me, because when I look at my life and all of the people who never had to help me and people who are still helping me and poured into my life, and I look at so many of you that you didn't have the opportunities that I have. You know, you didn't. People look, oh, he went to war. That's so traumatizing, bruh. Let me tell you something. War in a lot of ways is easier than regular life. It just is. Like, people always relate business to being like war. War is way easier than business, because in war there's the people who want to kill you and you want to kill them. There's no political correctness. It's, I'm gonna light this, I'm gonna light that ass up and go home. And I'm not gonna be on, no one's gonna be on Twitter talking about how I didn't take care of anybody. No, I lit that ass up and went home, had me a Coke and a smile, and I'm alive. Like, and I'm not trying to in any way diminish, people getting hurt or killed in combat. The point is, like, people look at war as this traumatizing event. I look back on it, like, when I think about war, that in some ways was some of the happiest moments of my life. And it sounds crazy, but as you go through this harrowing experience that shapes so much of your life, and it gives, like, I have so much perspective on life that I'm trying to pour into y'all's brains, because you can't have it if you haven't lived it, but you can at least simulate it. I can at least simulate what it's like to watch a 10-year-old boy walk up to me and try to sell me his 14-year-old sister for $2 effing. Okay? If you have any semblance of a human soul, you understand how sick that would make a person like me to my stomach. Not that this child is prostituting his sister, but that he has to, just to eat, right? Like, this is a child. I have kids younger than that, dude. Like, this is a child who has learned that in order to eat, he's got to pimp his sister. I tell that story all the time because I'm trying to get it through to your head. Your life is effing amazing. Like, wrap your head around that. You woke up with 2 legs and 2 arms and your fingers working and you're alive. You're welcome. Stop whining about shiza that doesn't matter and get busy, man. Like, come on. That's what I'm trying to pour into you guys, because I have to tell myself that same thing. I woke up to an amazing life. I didn't ask for it. I didn't deserve it. I walked into it. Was it perfect? No. I got the hell beat out of me in some cases growing up. But the point is, I got to pay that forward. That because it brings me joy to do that too. So it's selfish, but it's also selfless. All right. So Soul Step says, I'm studying to become a spiritual life coach. I need practice clients, but I'm scared to put myself out there. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. So my question to you is, if you're studying to be a spiritual life coach, who is coaching you? Let's see. Terry says, I would argue that Keith Berg, okay, he's talking about game design. Jonathan again asks, what good is a book that leaves you hopeless and negative? And my question to you is it the book that left you hopeless? I'm not sure how a book leaves one hopeless. I don't think that's a thing. I could be wrong, but you need to flesh that out for me. You get to choose right now in this very moment whether you're going to have hope or be hopeless. The book didn't do that to you. You did that to you. And that may sound a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. If you have no hope and you're being negative, it ain't got nothing to do with that book. It has everything to do with how you're reacting to the book, which, by the way, is under your control. And oh, okay, my bad. He said this for Terry, bro. It ain't about me. My bad, brother. I was about to get on. That soapbox was about to come out too, man. That soapbox. So thank you for saying that, so I could shut my mouth. Anna Pop Pot says life is amazing. Let's see. Joshua says, wow. Joshua says, wow, that shit is crazy, man. Really. Word, gratitude is not only for Thanksgiving, my people. Word. Terry says, the people I respect in the gaming industry, they talk about the reality. People like Adrian, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, tell the truth. And I know he tells the truth because he makes good games. Ursula says, OBC said, I can't read what she she spelled it. I was just reading what somebody else said. I didn't say the word. I was just quoting. I was reading a quote. So apologies if you're watching this with your kids. I try to keep that stuff to a minimum. Dan and Carrie says, Dan is here with me now watching, and now he understands why I sit on here most Fridays. That's a blessing. Like, for someone to hang out with me on Friday instead of going and doing fun stuff, that's a blessing. That blesses me to hear, and I hope that I'm in some way, shape, or form giving that back to you guys. Caddy George says, soapbox video is a need now. I'm trying to stay off my soapbox, man. Trying to stay off. JT says, we do take a lot for granted in America. We really do need to diminish a lot. So, but the problem is we can fuss about, oh, we complain about first world problems, but it's because we don't have the experience. Like, my dad's parents were the World War II, like my grandfather's parents were the World War II generation. They were gangsters because they had to be. Like, we are soft and fuss about all this nonsensical stuff today because we can. Because we're not starving and shooting each other in the streets to eat. Right? So that's kind of, you take the good with the bad. Like, the more prosperous a country or a group of people become, the softer they become. It's like Will Durant said, every nation is born stoic and it dies Epicurean. It's born hard and gritty, and when people were coming to America, 50% of them were almost guaranteed to die just for coming over here because not being able to live through the elements, and that made people gangster and hard. Do you think anybody back then was complaining about freaking diversity? Like, you might not be alive tomorrow. And I'm not saying that diversity is a bad thing or something that we shouldn't strive toward, but it's like we have to remember that the fact that we can complain about those things is wrought from hardship that we grew out of. And I think sometimes sometimes hardship can really help shape the character. It's like working out in the gym. Like, how many of you right now have six-pack abs and sit around and eat donuts all day? None of you. People that do that are people that put themselves through hardship. And so we bemoan and avoid hardship. Like, I have people that have seen me work out and they're like, I could never work out like you because I'm like, no, you totally, like, if the doctor says your heart's going to explode in 3 weeks if you don't start working out with BC, you're going to be in there every day, but you don't have to. And that's the challenge, man. So I don't get angry at people that don't have my perspective. Sometimes I get slightly impatient with them, but I don't, like, I have empathy that they can't see it the way I see it because they haven't seen kids dead in the street in a war, right? They haven't seen that. Like, I can't expect them to see it my way, no more than I think they should expect me to see where they're coming from if I haven't walked in their shoes, right? So, the world just needs a little bit more empathy, bruh. And I know that sounds kind of weird coming from the big gangster soldier guy, but it's true. I just need a little more of that empathy. Sister Hipster says, I struggle in the restaurant industry and bad customers. I swear depression creeped up at the door for weeks during the holidays. I've been crying myself to sleep because of people, family problems. So here's number 4. One of the things that gets, so let's review. Number 1, what was number 1? Somebody type what number 1 was. Make sure you guys are paying attention. What was number 1 in the 4 things we need to focus on uh, if we want to make sure we're not only pursuing the right dreams, but we're on the road to get them? Self-awareness was number 1. Great. Somebody type number 2. What was number 2? Number 1 was self-awareness. Number 2, okay, we got, oh, Ranger J says violent self-awareness. Somebody's been paying attention. Okay, number 2 was invest in yourself. Raven got that. Excellent, excellent. What was number 3? Somebody give me number 3. So we have self-awareness, invest in yourself. Somebody give me the third one. Let's see if you guys, because I didn't talk about the third one quite as long as I did the other ones. Yes, Kiana got it. Number 3, immerse yourself. All right, so you're not just going to invest in yourself, you're going to immerse yourself in that investment. Right, every day you're going to show up to the gym, reps and sets, right? That's what Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about. So 4 is going to be tied to what Sister Hipster just said. She says she struggles. We're all going to help her, okay? She struggles in the restaurant industry, bad customers. She swears that depression creeped up at the door for weeks during the holidays. She's been crying herself to sleep because of people/family problems. Okay, so let's go through this. Thank you, Raven. I saw that you got that. Raven, there's one other person you need to square away. I'll let you. I'm sure you can see it. But thank you for catching that. My computer's always trying to restart. Number 4. One of the biggest problems we have, especially in the modern world and especially in Western culture. So, by the way, people stressing you out, and hear me, sister, because I'm not trying to belittle your experience or marginalize your experience. All I want to do is put your experience in perspective. Okay? Thank you, Raven. Got it. Uh, Dealing with people at the restaurant who are crappy people and who say bad things and family issues. In the grand scheme of the universe, that stuff's not really all that stressful. When you compare it to the example I gave earlier about the kid in Iraq, the 10-year-old who was selling his sister into prostitution so that he could eat. The challenge with most of us is that our perspective is off. We have most things, and by the way, you may be going through, like I went through some ish at home too when I was growing up, okay? Like, I get it. Not trying to diminish your experience, but I want to help you put it in the proper perspective so that you don't let the experience run your life, okay? So, number 4 is we have got to stop placing our lives at the mercy of our expectations. Okay. The reason why these people are bothering you and the family's bothering you is because you have expectations. You have expectations for people to behave in a way that you can't control. And anytime you tie expectation to something you can't control, you are destined for disappointment, and the disappointment's going to lead to resentment, fear, pain, anxiety, and possibly even depression. All brought on by the way you are consistently using your mind. So, if expectation is the problem, how do we resolve it? Well, we stop focusing on expectation and we focus on appreciation, right? One of the things I'm thankful for, and it's going to sound slightly gross and kind of weird, something I fairly regularly thank God for is clean toilets. Let me explain. When I was in combat, there were times, as a matter of fact, I'll give you one time in particular. We had just finished one of our major battles and we were burning through the town. I had to go to the bathroom very badly. Uh, it's going to be slightly gross, but I'm not going to try to beat around the bush. I basically had diarrhea because war will do that to you. There's nowhere to go to the bathroom out in the middle of nowhere. And because we're in a hostile environment and we're in a place where people are trying to kill us, we found an exposed sewer where I ran in there with my weapon, ducked down. I had to go to the bathroom in an exposed sewer in a foreign country where people were trying to kill me. I'm still thankful every day that I get to sit on a clean toilet because I have perspective. If you've never had to expose yourself in the sewer of a foreign country and hope to God, now, granted, I had people watching my back, so I wasn't really fearful that someone was just going to run into the sewer and shoot me. But the thought at least crosses your mind, and you start to really appreciate the little things in life when things like that begin to happen to you. So instead of going into your work environment and expecting people to not be crappy, or expecting your family, because if our happiness is tied to everyone around us behaving properly, we're going to be depressed every day. Because rarely are people going to acquiesce to the way we think they should behave, especially if they're not people who have any vested interest in the quality of your life. So instead of focusing on our expectations and hoping, well, maybe tomorrow will be different, how about expect tomorrow not to be different, but expect tomorrow you to be different? And so what you're going to do is begin to focus on the things that you appreciate. What if tomorrow you were whisked away to a foreign country where people were paid to kill you and you had to go to the bathroom in a sewer? I imagine that some of the challenges you face right now may seem slightly not as severe. Now, granted, I don't know your life situation. Maybe what you're going through is quite a bit more severe than I'm interpreting what you're saying. But regardless of the fact, no matter what you're going through, focusing on appreciating the good while you're working to change you, not the other people around you. You're working to change you to help you get away from the bad, whether that's finding another job or you just become so impervious to the bruise because you've made yourself more mentally tough. Whatever the answer is, I guarantee you that if you do that on a daily basis, and this isn't like positive thinking BS. This is legitimately your brain, all of your emotions and your crying to sleep at night are following thoughts. And they're following the thoughts that you're spending the most time thinking about. If you can replace those thoughts with, yeah, you know what, this person at work was a jerk today, but I had 3 hot meals today. And I got to sleep in a house that had heat and not out in 6-degree weather. And I woke up alive today. And I got to help that old lady. There was that one lady that was really nice to me. There was this lady at GameStop that stopped me after I was disciplining one of my sons this past weekend. I disciplined my son because I had to do it publicly because he was effing up. She's walking out of the store and she stops in front of me. She grabs my elbow and she says, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She's like, "I just want to say, raising kids is hard. Thank you for doing a good job. Now, if you're a father who cares about his kids the way that I do, and sometimes you're willing to lay down that tough love, but never to harm, but always to strengthen. And a lady that doesn't know you from anything stops you to tell you, hey man, I know raising these kids is hard, especially boys, because she was walking with her. She had two much older kids. She's a little bit older than me. She's like, thanks for doing a good job. You can't imagine how that blessed my life. Anything probably could have happened to me the rest of that day, but I was still riding high, thinking about what this lady said to me about how I was raising my kids. Because what I had to do to my son was hard. I didn't want to embarrass him in front of everybody, but he was screwing up in public, and I needed to check him. I needed to help him because he lied to me about something he did, and I don't play that. I told him lying is worse. Lying to cover up your offense is worse than the offense, brother. Like, not with me. Like, it's one thing if you got to lie to save your life, but this is me. Like, I'm your best friend, brother. You gotta. So, I say all that to say, no matter what you're going through, focusing on appreciating whatever in your life is good, even if it's the small, is always going to help you sleep better at night than focusing on the things that are wrong. Because the more you focus on the things that are wrong, the more you're going to be in that wrong space and in that painful space, and you're just going to live there because your brain is not in tune to the good things that you want. And so you're not being emotionally and mentally situationally aware of the good that's going on around you to connect with it. You're focusing on the negative and thus drawing more negative to you. And I'm not talking about like the secret wonders of the universe nonsense. I'm talking about literally human emotion, human psychology and biology, where we are emotional magnets. And if we are emotionally in tune to pain and frustration, well, you're not just going to be happy later that day. Like, happiness is something that you have to work on. Because remember, your brain, biologically, your brain is wired to keep you alive. It's not wired to make you happy. It's wired to focus on all the crappy stuff that happened to you because 5,000 years ago, focusing on crappy stuff kept you alive. Well, you don't live in that world anymore, so now you have to retrain your mind to focus on the good. Because while the good may not be the thing that's keeping you alive, it's going to be the thing that keeps you healthy and keeps you alive longer and keeps you happy longer. So hopefully you got something out of that. But number 4, divorce your expectations and focus on your appreciation. Let's see. Harley says, stop being immediately reactive to your external reality and first be observant instead. It's great to be observant, but you have to keep things in the right mindset. Let's see. Anna Papa says, 4 is a challenge to me. As an INFP, I tend to idealize most things. Myself, work, friends, love, daydreaming, and fantasizing. So it's difficult for me not to be disappointed with failed expectations. So, yeah, of course, you're going to be disappointed if an expectation doesn't come through. So what I'm telling you is to expect, like, if, let's say you work at a place where people are crazy. And I've been here, and I was depressed every day where I kept like, maybe today they'll get it. They're not going to get it. It's not happening. Let's see. I'm Peter Cole says VIP call tomorrow, right? B, you're correct, man. We're gonna kick off at noon. What's up, dude? Good to see you. And so he's talking. I have a VIP program attached to my social media academy that meets monthly to help people really kick butt cheeks on social media. Actually, tomorrow we're going to be talking about sales, man. Tomorrow is all dedicated to doing better at sales. Even if you're not selling anything, it's going to make you better. So definitely, if you guys are in the VIP program, don't miss that. But so going back to Anna, she was talking about how, of course, what I'm saying is start to expect the things that you can control. Stop like, I'm expecting that tomorrow these people are going to act right. They're not. It's not going down. Like, they're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, well, we've been acting crazy for the last 3 years. Let's give Anna a break and start behaving properly. So there's a couple things that you need to do. First of all, expect them to be crazy because then you won't be disappointed. But 2, change you, right? Change the way that you react to their crazy. Because like, it would be like in a war if I got disappointed. Man, they shot at us today. I was really hoping, these guys would take a break. Like, no, they're paid to kill us. They're not going to take a break. Like, of course I'm going to be depressed every day If, man, I was really hoping they wouldn't try to kill us today in this war. Like, that's how ludicrous some of our expectations are. Like, I'm really expecting that this client that I reached out to one time is good. Well, hey, why hasn't they called me back? I have all these great services. I guess they just don't want my help. Like, no, genius, they're busy. Like, of course they want your help, but they have other things going on in their life that ain't got nothing to do with you. So don't. It's not about not getting disappointed when your expectations aren't fulfilled. It's about expecting the right things. And again, instead of having expectations, be appreciative. And if you're in a situation where stuff is constantly disappointing you, then you need to get around. Like, one of the things I always tell, and here's bonus number 1, number 5. Get around like-minded people. For the love of God, you become like who you hang out with. And if you're spending your whole day with people that drive you nuts or that don't share your values, it's going to have an effect on you. I've watched it happen in my life, where I went from, elite combat officer to Fortune 500 young superstar to ugh. Then I started to wonder. I actually had a point in my career where I was like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Like, I have all these awards on my wall that say I'm amazing, but now I'm at the slave plantation job I told you guys about, where they treated me like I was one of the slaves that just got set free and taught English, even though, like, interpersonally I had more experience than a lot of the people. Uh, it was like, oh, well, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, because that's the way they thought all the time. They were so depressed and insecure that it started to wear off on me. And so, I actively seek out like-minded people. I will not spend an extended amount of time around people that bring me down. I just won't, because it will bring you down. And I tell my boys, I got to get around sharks. I'm a shark, dude. I'm a freaking lion, bruh. Like, don't get it twisted. I love helping people. But like we were talking about the day, one of my boys was saying, man, there's these situations going on with immigrants that are in other countries and they're raping people. I'm like, dude, no, we need some vigilantes. Like, for real, don't let me be there and see that going down, because I'm shooting that cat in the mouth, like, in front of everybody. And he was like, that was kind of harsh. I'm like, because, man, you can't be going around just willy-nilly raping people in the streets. Like, not while I'm there. They get shot if I'm armed. And I gotta be like, I would say that around the wrong crowd. Oh, that's so violent. And like, well, wait a minute. You just heard me say these dudes are out there gang raping people, and now I'm the guy that's wrong for shooting them in the face. I don't know where that's coming from. Like, I used to make a joke when I saw the movie Captain Phillips, Tom Hanks, which is a really good movie, but like, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, I know that the rule says this dude wasn't supposed to have a gun on the boat. But if that movie had been Captain Chambers, it would have been about 7 minutes long, because I would have went and got the 7.62 rifle that I didn't have on the boat, and would have lit them dudes up on the boat, and that would have been, and then the credits would roll. Like, nah, G, we ain't getting boarded by no daggone wooden boat of the Somalian pirates. They getting lit the hell up. And so, I say that jokingly. Whether or not I'd be able to pull that off is, and plus, I don't know what the penalties are if you would have done something like that. But it's just like, everyone that I hang with on a regular basis doesn't think that's crazy. They're like, yeah, dude, no, I'd have found a way to kill them cats. Like, nope, not I. But like, a matter of fact, I had a time where, when I was running my first, this is before social media really took off. I was running my own social community, and I was telling the story about it, taking my wife out to dinner. This is before I had kids. And I came home, and the gate to my backyard was open, and I didn't leave that open. So I told her, stay in the car. At the time, I didn't, I went and got my sword. I started stabbing bushes. And so I told my crew on the website, I was like, hey, came home tonight, I had a little scare. So instead of saying, hey, is everything, like, one person in the group was like, instead of saying, man, I hope everything with your family is safe, he was like, you mean you would have stabbed somebody if they were trying to rob your house and they're hiding in the bushes? Yes. Well, that's wrong. Why would you stab them? I'm like, wait a minute. So you're taking the dude that's trying to injure someone else's family's side? Well, you don't have to stab him. Like, shh. Like, no, I can't be, like, all my boys that I hang out with on a regular basis be like, yeah, I'd have shot him. Why are you only stabbing people? And so I'm not trying to paint this hyper violent picture of myself because I'm by no means a violent person, uh, nor do I even like fighting. I'm just a defender of people, and it's you got to be around like-minded people, y'all. Like this, but we on what bonus number we on? 5. You got to get around like-minded people. If you are a shepherd or a sheepdog, you cannot be around sheep all day. And I'm sorry if people are offended by the term sheep, but a lot of people just are. Like the people complaining about online courses costing $500, but then go to college and spend $100,000 and aren't mad that they're in debt, broke, and don't have a job. You're just that sheep mentality, dog. Sorry, like you can wake up tomorrow and change that and become a sheepdog, but it's like I can't be around non get after it people for so long before it starts to wear off on me, right? And that's not like a measurement of where people are in their life. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with mindset. And so you have to get around people. It's not to say that you don't go around sheep or whatever label you want to put on people. You do, because you love people and you want to help. But you can only stay around people like we were talking today. Matter of fact, my shark team is what I call them. My go-getters that I have lunch with most days. We had lunch today, and I was like, you know what, man? I've just come to grips with the fact that some people need to be in the matrix. Like some people need to be plugged in, and just they don't need to be unplugged. Like some people need the dang matrix, and you know, and those are the type of people I don't really want to spend a lot of my time around because their energy starts to wear off on me, and I don't want that. Like I want to stay positive. I want to stay in faith. I want to stay walking in love and helping people and not walking with famine mentality and being afraid that every time Trump farts, the country's going to fall apart. It's just like, guys, like this is not America's first rodeo with crazy. Like let's focus on the things in life that really matter. Not like your exact life has been affected specifically, probably zero because of whoever the president is. So anyway, I won't get on a political soapbox. Joshua says, you were shark, Mr. Chambers. Oh, yeah, you played Texas Hold'em. You got some skills. No, I don't have any card skills. I'm not that kind of shark, man. Cold Heart says, is it Professor Cold Heart from the Care Bears? I'm an INFP. I feel that pushing myself towards new experiences, even though hard at the moment, have actually helped me. Yeah, that's anybody, man, of course. Ursula says, I've not found anyone in this area who is good at what I want to learn. I like my gun friends and my art friends, but not found highly successful people to hang out with. So find some people online to hang out with or move. Or travel, like Joshua says. Good call. Coldheart says, but I won't fight my nature. As an INFP, I need my time and space, especially to learn to balance, and learn to intake the world that isn't as the ideal that we have in mind. Sweet. Anna Papa says, number 5, that's why I like to have your videos playing in the morning or while I'm doing some chores. I like to have you in the background. Your insights are helpful and they motivate me. That's awesome. Anna Pot Pot, I have another gift for you. If you haven't been on the show in a while, or if you haven't heard me talk about my podcast, if you want to play me in the background, definitely download my podcast because that way, like for example, if your phone doesn't have unlimited data and you happen to not be on a Wi-Fi, you'll use a lot less bandwidth to listen to me versus having to watch me. And it's just easier. Like you don't like the YouTube app sucks because you can't play me and then like turn your phone off, like hit the thing that turns off your screen that shuts YouTube off. iTunes or whatever podcast app you use, you can hit play, and then go do other stuff on your phone. Like if you watch me on YouTube, you can't do anything else on your phone. Like if you listen to a podcast, you can do everything else. So, and honestly, for those of you that watch me regularly, I'm really about to start focusing more of my attention on Facebook and on my podcast than I do on YouTube. YouTube, I'll probably still do a lot of the Hexaco stuff and the 69 pillars, of course, while the 69 pillars is still free. I'm going to keep it for free until I finish the program so that as many people as I can get through it for free. But once that's done, a lot of my focus you'll find over time is gonna flex more towards Facebook and the podcast. Right now is just not the time to focus on that because I have a good system on YouTube. But like my breaking down Proverbs series, for example, I can almost guarantee you that's going to Facebook, like exclusively, just because I have a fundamental, solid understanding of how YouTube works. Anyway, Anna Popat says, violent self-awareness, invest in yourself, immerse yourself, don't be at the mercy of your expectations, surround yourself with like-minded people. She's on top of it. So I would say the only thing I would change for number 4 is don't be at the mercy of your expectations. Say, switch your expectations for appreciations. Because appreciation is really the important part of that. It's not just your expectations. It's that we focus on expectations instead of focusing on what we appreciate. And what we focus on, we get more of. Harley says, I'm a drummer in a band that has great potential. That's what I've been chasing. But at the same time, I know how to know how record labels constantly screw over artists and how tough the industry is. Roger that, so go independent. JT says, as INFPs, I think we have to drop a lot of expectations and work to create what we visualize. Isaiah Attempt 2 says, I'm an INFP and I get distracted from more productive things very easily. Any tips to stop getting distracted so easily? Yeah, find something you want bad enough to stay focused. On what you have to do to get it. Ranger J says, how do we get to what there is currently available of the podcast? Require participants. How do we get to what there is currently available of the podcast? Require participation in one of the groups? No, just go to iTunes, man. iTunes, or you can use the app called Anchor and just look up my name, man. You can listen away. Ursula says, BC, I have your Facebook as see first, but I never see anything. Make sure that you've also liked the page. Raven said she had the same problem, and when I looked at her account, she was only following me. She hadn't actually liked the page. But at the same time, Facebook is moving away from letting you see everything anyway, so that it may just be a factor of that. Francis says, how do you repay mentors who are willing to share their time for free to help me out? Actually do what they tell you and become awesome. It's the best way to do it. It's also the best way to pay back the people you pay is to actually take what they're teaching you, apply it, and become awesome. It's the best gift you can give anybody that's willing to help you. Dino says, really glad for your channel. Thanks, Dino. I'm glad for you too, man. So, number 6. We'll do another bonus one. So going back to what I think it was Anna Pot says. So number 1, violent self-awareness. And for newcomers to the way I talk, I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about intensity. So violent self-awareness. Number 2, invest in yourself. And we're talking about the steps you need to take to make sure you're on the right path towards the right dreams and to make sure that you're actually going to get there. Okay, so all good decisions start with violent self-awareness. Number 2, you need to invest in yourself. Number 3, you need to immerse yourself in training, in the things that you're investing in that are investing in yourself, right? Number 4 was, hold on, let me go back to Anna's post here. Number 4 is trade your expectations for your appreciations. Focus on what you appreciate, not what you expect. And the more gratitude you show, the more positive attitude you have. You can't be in gratitude and anger or fear at the same time. It's emotionally impossible. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Number 6, find mentors and coaches. Do not be a lone wolf. And that's what what tonight's show actually started with. And by the way, I am going on 3 hours over my time tonight, but tonight was a really good discussion. I didn't want to cut you guys short because typically going forward, guys, these YouTube calls are just going to be an hour, but I had a lot that I wanted to cover tonight, so I wanted to make sure I got it all out and didn't shortchange any of you guys on the Q&A. But The what we started with in the talk tonight is stop trying to be a lone wolf, right? I said at the end of this call, I was going to transition all of you from being lone wolves to being people who are teachable and coachable and who actually reach out to mentors and coaches, whether it's people in your life, mentors you can find in your schools. Some of my best mentors, honestly, were my football coaches, straight up. And some people that just by the grace of God decided they were going to invest in my life. Like one of my first mentors, a guy named Eric, who really helped me get on the right path mentally and emotionally and spiritually in my life. I call him my first spiritual mentor. Um, and the but that sixth pillar is you gotta get help. Like you're not winning by yourself. It's just that nobody does that. Nobody completely just like my dad wasn't able to work by himself. I mean, my dad joined the army when segregation was still going on, bruh. Like, word, and still had all of that success. So it's straight up, you gotta get mentors and coaches to help you. And I don't care how you get them. You ask somebody to mentor you. I still suggest, at least in my experience, I can't speak for everybody. My experience is my best coaching situations have always come out of people that I'm paying. Because if I'm paying you to coach me, you are dialed in to helping me because you have every incentive to deliver on what I'm paying you for. Even some of my mentors in the real world who I'm not paying, even though we love each other dearly, they don't always have time. But if you're paying someone, they're creating that block of time specifically for you, and it's one of the best ways to do it. Um, let's see. Karina says, "What do you do if you feel like you have nothing to offer a mentor? I guess you just have to pay, right?" Well, part of the problem is you're looking at what do you have to offer them that's in their lane, right? I'll tell you, you want to know what one of my mentors, one of my primary business mentors gets from me? He and I take a vacation together every year. And he puts me in a situation where I'm trying to learn from him, and then he gets me to talking the whole time. He learns digital marketing from me. He doesn't know that. He's an inventor, right? And before that, he's a computer scientist. So he's a scientist and an inventor. He's not a marketer. He's certainly not a digital marketer. The dude's been in business longer than I've been alive. And so we'll go on this trip that's a 13-hour drive and we'll ride. He'd be like, okay, so walk me through again. If YouTube gives you an issue with copyrighted material that you use and you have this, like, and he's like, okay, so when you're doing Facebook marketing, there's 3 types of marketing, and it should be, you're not just running ads to sell things, you're running ads that, like, he'll get me to walk him through, like, look at ways you can add value to them. That's something that you're good at that they're not. 100%. And sometimes you may not have anything to, sometimes mentors won't want anything from you. Like I was supposed to be on a call with you guys until 10 o'clock tonight. And then I was supposed to go hang out with my family and go to bed, right? It's now midnight, which is 2 hours beyond what I was originally planning to do. So did you have to pay me for this? Did you have to give me anything for this? No, right? So, uh, sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. Go to networking events, but your question is, do I just have to pay? You don't have to pay. My point is you don't have to pay, but some of the best coaching that I've ever had, like I'll give you an example on the marketing side. Like I've worked with Tim Schmoyer and I've bought his products. They're pretty dang good, right? Pretty legit. Never had any issues with that. Um, so it's like he has given me tips and helped me for free, but I've also paid him to help me do stuff. So you don't have to just pay. What I'm saying is when I have paid is when I've gotten the best results. Because then when I'm paying a person to help me, then I have not necessarily their undivided attention. Because some people take it too far. Like I've had customers in the past where I've had to be like, you know what, this relationship's not going to work. You buying my marketing program did not also equal you can email me 7 times a day with questions like I told you a number of times, put your questions in the Facebook group and me and parts of my team will get to you when we have a chance. But you can't email me 7 questions a day and then like, oh man, I was hoping to get an answer. Oh, I thought getting this program meant that I was going to have direct access to you. I'm like, if you thought like a couple $100 was going to give you unbridled access to me, like I don't spend that much time with my kids, Jack. Like, you're out of your mind, right? So, um, what I'm saying is the person that you pay, they either they have to come through for you, or at least on their end of the bargain, or you get your money back, or their reputation gets tarnished. Like, who's selling things wants to be known as the company that's crappy? Nobody. So they're going to do a good job for you, right? And then if there's a company for whatever reason that doesn't, two things should happen. If they're a good company and there's an agreement where it's like, whatever the time frame is, and you hit that time frame and you want your money back, then you get it. Or you're going to go on Yelp or whatever and say, yeah, I bought a guitar from guitarland.com, and when they sent it to me, it was a bass, and I asked them to replace it, and they said, go jump off a cliff. Like, that person's probably going to get talked about poorly, right? So, yeah, a couple different ways. Peter Cole says, I'm so grateful for the time you spent with us tonight, B. I'm grateful too, man. I've gotten a lot out of this discussion too. Harley says, you remind me of Elliot Hulse. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Let's see, I'm Peter Cole. Oh, no, that's not me. Anna Popat says, I guess another good way to repay a mentor is to share about them. Yeah, one of the best ways you can help, especially if you're paying and you get really good service, is what I ask my people to do, especially my people, because one of the challenges is inevitably some people will buy a thing from you. Like if you guys go on to build a business, some of you said you want to be coaches. I imagine you want to be paid for it. Inevitably, you'll have people that come through that really they don't get it. And it's not because the program doesn't work, it's because they're not working the program. But for the folks that are, like I had a guy that came into my YouTube program, and I think he had like 50 subscribers when he came in or something like that. And then within 4 months, he had 50,000, right? Because he came in, he did the work, he asked the right questions. He came on every live call that I hosted I have a special group of people within the program who are VIPs that pay a monthly fee, right? And he showed up every time, asked the right questions, then would go and implement, ask questions, implement. Next thing you know, I think he's actually close to 100,000 now. Right, and that's under a year because he came in and he did the work. And now, granted, there's some other factors that he makes content that's very highly sought after by younger people. That always helps. He's also very good at what he does. Like, I didn't coach him on how to make his shows necessarily because he was already pretty good at that. Like we have a block of instruction where we talk about how to be compelling and what's compelling on camera, but the actual content of his shows was all him. I would give him ideas about specifically where to focus, but he did the work. And so that's a person I would turn to and say, hey, would you mind making a video saying what you got out of the program and cover these different things? That's one of the best gifts you can give because other people talking about me being great is going to go way further than me just telling you that I'm great. And that's why when you go to a lot of my websites, I have those testimonies there. And I don't post all of them because sometimes it's too long. But I post as many as I can. And you'd be surprised how far that goes with new people who are like, I don't know this guy, but these 20 people say he's awesome. I don't know that they'd have a reason to lie about it if he wasn't. No, I don't think he paid them because that's not legal, by the way. That'll get you in trouble. Ursula says, BC, thank you for your time. Thank you. And your time is a precious gem for us. Thank you, Ursula. That's kind. Taj Marie says, I'll post this video in one of my Facebook groups. Awesome. So, yeah. Let's review real quick, and then I'm going to wrap. I think I may have promised you, I can't remember if I did, that I would also, all this talk of coaching, I'll give you an opportunity to potentially let me coach you. But before we get into that, and I'll stick around too to ask, I know a lot of you ask me about the coaching program. These calls is actually a good place to ask those questions because I can talk you through it versus like writing you along. Because usually people send me an email and I got to give you this long, okay, this is what we do and this and this. On the call, it's easier to just talk about it. So let's review. Tonight we talked about, we started with 4, we ended up with 6. One was if you want to make sure that you're chasing the right dreams and you're actually on the path to get them, you got to be violently self-aware, intensely self-aware, right? You've got to invest in yourself. Once you invest in yourself, you've got to immerse yourself in those investments. You can't just show up for a 4-week course and not actually apply the lessons over and over and over again, right? Number 4, you have got to stop focusing on your expectations and focus on your appreciations. 5 was you got to get around like-minded people. You just have to, right? And sometimes that means, for example, if you are just a really hardcore feminist, hang out with other hardcore feminists. It's one of the easiest ways to be around people who support what you believe in. Now, not everybody's in that same vein, but so don't hang out with the people who are against you. Inevitably, you'll cross paths with someone who's against that, but you want to spend time with the people who share your values, right? Or if you're like a right wing, I want my guns, then hang out with the I want my guns people. That's your people. Hang with them. And then last was, we kind of added at the end, you need to get somebody to coach you. And by the way, you don't want just a coach. Right? You're not going to walk up to a homeless guy on the street. Like, everybody who coaches me has a proven track record of success in some way, shape, or form. So, like, for example, how am I going to coach people on how to organize their life in a way that they actually accomplish their dreams, right? Or how am I going to help you with career development? Well, because I have spent the last 25 years building my career and helping other people build theirs and leading other people in large organizations, right? And then running my own company and having people on my teams here. Like, I've spent a lifetime, this coaching stuff that you guys are seeing me do on YouTube in 2018, dude, I've been doing it for, God, I've been doing it like legit 20 years, right? And I've been doing it since I was very young. So I've got a track record of people whose lives have been changed from the stuff that I've done. So you want someone that can say that with confidence, not, yeah, I'm 24 and I decided to become a life coach today because, I've just lived so much life. I've surfed and went to school. And by the way, I'm not saying a 24-year-old couldn't be a life coach. I don't know how much a 24-year-old could coach me on life. You feel me? Right? Has a 24-year-old put together a 15-year marriage? Nope. Right? Has a 24-year-old had a 20-plus year career? Nope. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, you don't want to go get the kid that hasn't done anything to coach you on how to do things. Right? So that's the one caveat I'll give you, is if you're going to get a coach, and don't just get one, man. Like, don't get into this mindset that you got to do all my stuff. Because some of you may need coaching that I'm not going to teach you how to be an artist. Nope, I'm not going to teach you how to draw a jack. So if you got my program, I just hope he teaches me how to draw better. Wrong answer. You might as well ask for the refund now, Jack, because Chambers ain't got no hand skills. Right? So those are the things you want to think about. Anna Pot says, thank you very much for your help, B. So glad I found you. I'm so glad too. Absolutely. So where's your Walgreens hat? Right there, yo. Maggie, what's up with you being late, yo? You gonna come talk about Walgreens hat at the end of the show? It's good to see you, Maggie. All right, Karina says, I understand what you mean about paying a mentor. I wanted to buy your one-on-one coaching, but it's about $3 less than my disability check. I hope to buy it someday. I'm sure it's worth the investment. Sure. So yeah, like, there are going to be situations where you can't make a move like that, but what you have to kind of really wrap your head around is, one, find, like I told you the story about how I had to sell a house and come to the table with $11,000, that I didn't just have that sitting around. Like, I had to go make it happen. Like, this is something that, like, when you get it in your mind that something needs to go down, you'll find ways to make it work, right? When you're skeptical about whether a thing is really going to work for you, you'll find ways, oh, well, I can't do it because of this, I can't do it because of that. And it really comes down to, you really don't want it to the degree that, and granted, I'm not trying to take anything away. If you're on a disability check, I get it. But my point is, don't don't sweat that. All right, don't sweat like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss out on life because I can't get into this one-on-one program. Like, it, no program is worth you missing meals over. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. Um, but so maybe right now, if it's $3 less than your check, what you need to be focused on is smaller scale. So buy books, right? You can buy a book for $5 to $20, right? And then you learn from that book, get another book, and then those books. And if you buy books that teach you, for example, how to make more money, then that's something that you can get good at while you're trying to build these other skills and make more money. Then you have more disposable income to do this. Like, this is something that I teach my oldest son a lot. He's always asking me for stuff. I'm like, he asked for an Xbox for Christmas. I said, I ain't buying you jack. I taught you how to do drop shipping. Go sell stuff. Then you buy your own Xbox. You don't need to depend on me for that. Teaching him how to be self-reliant by reading books and taking training courses. And I've got the 69 pillars. I have a ton of stuff that's free too. So just use that. Like, you got to start with where you are and with what you have. Don't lament and regret the things that you can't get access to. I can't buy every course that I want to get, so I get what I can and keep it moving. I wouldn't sweat it too hard. Karina says the Social Media Ninja Academy is incredible and totally worth way more than I got it for. Thank you. So I will be expecting a testimonial at some point in the future telling the rest of the world that you think it's awesome. Anna Papa says, thank you very much for your help, B. So glad I found you. I already read that, and now I'm rereading it. Let's see. Yeah, Sister Hipster, I didn't notice if you saw my very long response to your situation. Was what I said okay? The fact that you're still on the show leads me to believe that you were okay with what I said. But I wanted to make sure that it actually helped you. So if you don't mind, leave me a comment. Let me know if that was helpful for you. Because you may have already left a comment and I just missed it while I was talking. The Deceptive Bird says, I have the need for speed. Okay. Ursula says, I'm teaching myself art. Thank you. Maggie says, that's a different Walgreens hat. I'm ashamed. No, Maggie, wrong. This is the original Walgreens hat. This is the Walgreens hat I was wearing when the person asked me the question. This is the Walgreens hat. Jonathan says, found your channel about a month ago. I'm in the process of moving, but we'll check out your programs once I start working soon. Awesome, man. Sister Hipster says, I did what? What did Sister Hipster do? A3 person says, I'm teaching myself art too. Excellent. All right, so yeah, last minute questions you guys have. So a lot of people are talking about they want to get into whether it's my Social Media Ninja Academy or my one-on-one group coaching, peak performance group coaching program, which is really designed to help you lay the foundation for success in your life. We will eventually have additional coaching programs that we add on top of that, but I really wanted to start with that fundamental layer of establishing the right mindsets. A lot of it gets into career focus. And right now, actually, just so you guys are aware, I'm pivoting some of these programs to focus more on military folks. It doesn't mean that the programs won't work for you. It absolutely will. It's a group of people that I want to serve very specifically. So a lot of my talking about it, you might see in the future, you'll hear me specifically talking about helping like combat veterans create a fulfilling career after the military, because that's where we're starting to focus. And just so that the program resonates better with folks, but it by no means means that if you're not a military person that you can't use the program. Yeah, so Raven posted a link to my website. I think that link's not going to work though, because see, YouTube is ridiculous with like, because I don't monetize my channel, and this is a lesson for you guys who are YouTubers. YouTube will not let me link away from YouTube. So I appreciate it, Raven, but those links won't work, unfortunately. Because I don't monetize my channel, YouTube will not let me put links to my website on it. Because YouTube basically says, you're not making us any money, so we're not going to let you make money. You heathen. She said, thought I would try it. I dig it. Ursula says, if I find a mate, I will tell him we need your relationship program. So yeah, right now my relationship program's closed, unfortunately. Now, granted, this one-on-one coaching program would totally work for relationships too, but my specific marriage program is I shut it down. It wasn't ready for prime time. Maggie Mosby says, okay, BC, you like psychology, so any good psych docs or shows, even fiction based, is fine. Sorry if you don't watch a lot of TV. Yeah, I don't watch any TV. Any good books, The H Factor of Personality. I would get that. Joshua says, maybe one day I can help you with that. That would be a humbling work and I'd enjoy. Sure, learn a lot helping the vets. Yeah, man. Dominic Moran says, I have a father who gives me too much. Obviously, he loves me, and that is his way of showing that he cares. How can I take charge? Take charge of what? Be more specific. Ranger J says, I haven't heard of Anna Rizzu. Anna Rizzu is actually the lead designer here at the BryantChambers movement. She also helps me with the marketing. And Raven is our community manager. Ursula says, what is that fat psychology book what the heck just happened? It's called Evolutionary Psychology by Dr. David Buss. Cool. All right. Any last minute questions? Any questions about the programs? I see a lot of you saying you want to get into it, but what questions did you have while I'm here so that I can answer it for you? Uh, so I can help you understand if it's right for you. And by the way, if I think the program isn't right for you, I will tell you. I will not allow you to get into something I don't think will help you. Joshua says, can you go into a little detail on a couple of the programs specifically so we know the difference? Absolutely. So we have the Social Media Ninja Academy. In there, I teach social media skills to a couple of basically two different types of people. Someone who's trying to build a career in social media, a business, or it's three types of people. Someone that wants to start a social media marketing like career so they can learn the skills of how the platforms work to go apply for jobs. We've had one person come through the program specifically that's exactly what they did. The second type of person is sort of like the solopreneur, entertainer, um, personal brand people like YouTube gamers or YouTube bloggers, vloggers who want to learn how the different social media platforms work to grow their audience. And then eventually, like, so tomorrow, we also have a VIP program in the Social Media Ninja Academy, which is an additional monthly fee on top of the flat fee. And I'm going to be coaching for a couple hours on sales. So for people that are running YouTube channels, they understand that making money through AdSense sucks. So how do I actually get better at sales so that I can step my game up and potentially sell things to make money? And then the third type of person are like small businesses who want to do their social media marketing DIY. Like they don't want to hire me as a consultant to do their marketing for them. And I run into people, like I do local seminars here in my own town. And I get people that are like, yeah, I want to learn from you so I can do it myself. I don't want to bring on a consultant until I understand it. So they can go through my program and learn it all themselves and practice it. Then they can bring on a consultant because then they know what they're supervising. They're not just like, if you don't know anything about it, you don't want to just hire a consultant and don't know how to keep them accountable. So that's the Social Media Ninja Academy. The Peak Performance Coaching Program is more of a personal / professional development program where I'm basically coming in and teaching you all the tools that you need to lay the foundation for success in your life. Now, success is defined by you. In the program, I don't tell you what success is. I'd be wrong to attempt to. but I help you define success for you, and then we set you up with all of the fundamental foundational tools from violent self-awareness. You got to hear me preach violent self-awareness all night. I actually have built my own system to help you develop that. By the time you go through that part of the course, you have a really good idea, if not a specific understanding of exactly what you should be doing with your life. And it's not me telling you that, it's me helping you figure it out for yourself, right? And then helping you remove all the obstacles and the resistance and the things that get in the way of you succeeding at that, right? And then I help you deal with adversity because it's coming, by the way. If you didn't know, welcome to Earth. Right? And then I take you through that entire process. I help you build confidence and competence, and then we close everything out with helping you overcome fear, right? The fear that keeps you paralyzed, keeps you from achieving your goals and your dreams and the things you want, whether it's a new job, it's starting a business, it's a marriage or a girlfriend, whatever it is. I get that fear. I teach you how to get the fear out of the way, keep it out of the way so it doesn't hinder you. And that's my one-on-one peak performance coaching program. So one is focused on personal and professional development. The other one is focused mostly on marketing. Great question, by the way. Karina says, right now, I'm not really sure if I should work on building skills before doing YouTube or document my skill building on YouTube. Document your skill building on YouTube. Problem solved. Uh, Joshua says, you have two main ones. Yeah, so right now I basically have two main courses: the Social Media Ninja Academy, and we have the the one-on-one group peak performance coaching. But we just call it peak performance coaching. So those are the two main programs that I'm talking about. Ranger J says, can you give a general overview of it all? I have been out of touch and think I want to get into Twitch, which is different than my old original intentions. Yeah. So everything that I'm teaching in that space will help you with Twitch. I don't at present have specific Twitch courses, but the principles that I teach in there can certainly be applied to Twitch. In fact, the stuff I teach may be better suited for Twitch than if you're a gamer, not necessarily like a blogger or vlogger. If you're a gamer, I think a lot of stuff that I teach may even suit you better on Twitch than it does on YouTube. Raven says, Brian has a few different Facebook groups that are free to join as well. The Entry Social Media Ninja Academy. Yep, you can go there and kind of get your feet wet, learn how I coach. You can ask questions there. He also has the BryantChambers Movement group, which is more about personal growth, be able to stay connected. Yeah, and so that's the group associated with his YouTube channel. Raven says, I got him to start that one so we can stay better connected outside of the live calls. She is correct. Raven is the person who, like, we call her the community manager, but she's really the person that keeps me in line. Because when you're a crazy person like me, you have to have somebody that grounds you. Reading Dave says, I could use some success and growth, inspiring adversity. Okay. Cool. Any other questions? Oh, yes. And I'm sorry, I do have a third course. Thank you, Anna. I have the 69 Pillars of Success course, which is actually free. The 69 Pillars of Success is for whom? It's for everybody. It's for anybody who wants to succeed at their life. That is for anybody and everybody who does not want to have life dictate your existence to you. It's basically for anybody that wants to take command of their lives and not be at the mercy of life. It's the best way I can say it. You want to take command of your life and not be at the mercy of life. 69 Pillars is for you. Is it perfect for all people? No, it's not perfect for lazy people. It's not perfect for people that leave me messages and say, dude, this video is too long. Great. Never watch it, and I'll never have to compete with you. It's not for people looking for simple, cookie cutter solutions to very complex problems. It's not for people who try to overcomplicate simple solutions to problems. So it's not for everybody. It's not for lone wolves. And remember, we talked in the beginning, if you're a lone wolf, you need to get out of that. And it's not for people who aren't willing to work, because the 69 Pillars is a long program. especially if you're taking it the way you should be, which watching it on YouTube is fine, but you need to be a member on my website so that you can watch it the way it's intended to be watched. And then one day when it's not free anymore, you'll still have access to it for free. Because you should, in the 69 Pillars is something you should go back and watch several times. So thank you for reminding me of that third program, man. I totally forgot to mention the 69 Pillars. And you can so all these programs, if you want to check them out, and if you want more detailed information, it's my name, BryantChambers.com/69 Pillars. I can't post a link in the YouTube because YouTube won't let me. But by the way, all of this stuff is linked in the description of the video. YouTube still lets me do that for now. BryantChambers.com/69 Pillars. That's the free program. BryantChambers.com/coaching. That's the one-on-one peak performance coaching. It'll give you a list of everything, who it's for, why it's right. Now, it's going to talk to you a lot about military veterans and stuff like that, but you don't have to be in the military to benefit from that. That's just the group I like to focus on because I like to give back to the people who gave so much to me. And then third, BryantChambers.com/SMNA. That's BryantChambers.com/Sierra Mike November Alpha. Social Media Ninja Academy. Right? And you can learn everything you need to learn about the different types of programs in detail. You can join them as well. I would tell you this. The Social Media Ninja Academy specifically also has a VIP program associated with it. You can't see it until you join, but once you've joined, it's not cheap, but it's also going alone at trying to master social media is very expensive because you're gonna invest years trying to figure out what you could do like Charles did in 4 months with the stuff we're teaching you, right? Or you could do it like I did and figure it out for yourself since 1993 when I first started playing around on the internet. All right, so basically it's going to destroy the learning curve and get you into stuff quickly. Right, but we also have a VIP program, which is a monthly fee, and it's very cheap right now. I have no intention, and Raven won't let me keep it as cheap as it is forever, but I'm still trying to let enough people get into it. And I really lament anybody that didn't take advantage of the Christmas sale, which, by the way, that's why you guys need to be paying attention to what I'm doing more often, not just waiting for INFP videos, because I announce stuff all the time. Like these deals and these sales and this stuff that I give away for free that you're missing because it's not an INFP video. And then like this whole program that's $1,000 you could have had for $15 had you been paying attention. See, Ranger J says, I jumped in the 69 Pillars yesterday and I got SMNA back when we had the $5 Patreon things going way back. Yeah, so unfortunately, if you canceled the Patreon thing, the people who got in on Patreon I hated when I saw people quit because I'm like, I know how this is going to work. I'm going to make a ton of content and it's not going to be fair for me to keep it this cheap, but I'm never going to raise the Patreon people's price just to say thank you to them for believing in me. By the way, some people got into it for free. Not everybody had to pay. And like the people who quit, it was like, don't quit. Like in your lifetime, you will never, like if you stay in the program for the rest of your life, you will not pay what a normal customer pays now. Like that's how cheap I made it in the beginning. Raven says, it's not for the people who are quietly reading Simon Sinek's Start With Why and then see Brian's live stream pop up and jumps straight on at 2 a.m. local time and stays on till 5. It's not, oh man, it's not for the people who are not. Ursula needs to get on board. She doesn't know Simon Sinek. We got to get that squared away. Okay, Ranger J says Patreon was never canceled. Still rocking it. Well, rock on, brother. You won the lottery for the SMNA, my man. Raven says he's an amazing speaker. Yes, he is. About how leadership skills in companies can fail. Oh yeah, Simon Sinek is actually quoted in my book. And because it's an ebook, the image goes to his video that Raven's talking about. Cool. All right. Any last questions, friends? Otherwise, I'm going to bed. And like almost all of you are still here, which is terrifying. Like in a really good way, but dog. That's what's happening. Jonathan says, get some sleep. Worry not, my man. I shall. Ursula says, good night. Okay. Looks like we got the questions covered, my friends. It has been it has been my distinct pleasure to be with all of you tonight. Thank you so much, honestly, for giving of your time. I know you guys thank me for giving of my time, but you gave of your time too. And I got probably as much out of this, if not more, than you all got out of me talking. So God bless every one of you. I love you very much. Remember that we are stronger than I. And I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.